Tiptoe through the tulips. Pop.
Adam Curry, John C. Dvorak.
It's Sunday, June 2nd, 2019. This is your award-winning Gitmo Nation Media Assassination episode 1143.
This is No Agenda.
Saving football on the American pitch and broadcasting live from the frontier of Austin, Texas, capital of the Drone Star State. In the morning, everybody. I'm Adam Curry.
And from northern Silicon Valley, I'm John C. Dvorak.
It's Craigslot and Buzzkill in the morning.
Is this to test my response time or something?
Yeah.
What was it? Well,
exactly.
You have nothing else to say. That's it. Done. Just it.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
I had a million things that was possible, and I decided, it's too complicated.
Okay. Well, I do have an idea. It's a big one. It's a money-making one. We could even use it as our exit strategy, just to start the show off with that. I can bring football, soccer, to American screens in a commercially viable way.
By not running it at all?
No. I mean,
okay.
This is the biggest problem. Why? The
biggest problem with soccer in the United States, there's two biggest problems. The biggest problem is it stinks as a game, and Americans don't like playing it unless you're a girl. That's
your opinion. Okay. The real problem is, of course, because there are no commercial breaks, and it's very difficult for television networks to make money off of the games.
Well, they must make money in Mexico. They must make money in England. They must make money on the continent.
Well, actually, they do. But there's more people who want to watch. But they also
buy more trucks.
They also have different broadcast systems, different ways of making money. But now, finally, after having seen the highlights of the Champions League, the big game in the Champions of Europe, Liverpool beating out Tottenham.
My God! Did it beat Tottenham?
I think it was 2-0 even. It was a crazy game.
2-0.
It was a crazy-ass game. But there is now a way to monetize. I have a little clip, which I'll just play it. It won't really explain immediately, but at a certain point, something happened on the field.
Oh, she's there. Oh, there she's fucking gone. She's fucking gone. Yes! Oh, she did it.
Yes!
Yes! We had a good old-fashioned streaker from one side of the pitch, from one goal to the other, Kinsey Walansky, who you must do a quick Bing search on, because she was well worth watching running from one goal to the other. Approximately
definitely get Americans' attention.
$3.97 million pounds worth of advertising for the company she wore on her shirt, which was Vitae.
Shirt on.
Well, whatever was left of the shirt that she had on.
What was her name again? Kinsey?
It's Kinsey, Kinsey, Walansky. And she had a T-shirt on for Vitali Uncensored, estimated just under £4 million worth of advertising value. This is the way to go. Just once a game. No one knows when it's going to happen. We don't know what she or he is going to look like, but everyone knows once a game, someone's going to streak pretty much butt naked from one end to the other. We're going to see their advertisement. We take one advertiser and one advertiser only. We could expand it to two, one for each half of the game later on. This is finally a way to monetize, and the crowd loves it. Have you seen her?
Yeah, she's beautiful.
Yes. This is a money-making opportunity.
Well, I don't know who talked her into doing this, but I just got her name around.
What do you mean? She has a sponsor. She's an Instagram influencer, gained 1 million followers after this stunt, but look at the T-shirt. That was a sponsored T-shirt. Now, she didn't get £4 million for it, but she got paid for it, and the value is unbelievable.
Well,
you're not on board with my idea, are you?
She actually crashed my browser.
She crashed a lot of old men's browsers, believe me.
Hey!
There you go. Anyway, I thought it was an interesting way to do it.
Yeah. You should move back to Europe and become a member of the FIFA, whatever the hell that group is.
FIFA.
FISA.
Even I'm not corrupt enough to join FIFA. It's just not going to happen. Anyway, that was my big idea. Now on to the news.
And there is a little news.
Okay.
What do you got?
I got nothing. Well, no, I do.
Well, I got a bunch of Assange stuff, which is kind of interesting.
Yeah, I think, did I have anything Assange? Yes, I did. I have his lawyer talking to the BBC about his health. Do you want to hear that, or you want to go for
Let's start with that, and then we'll go to my stuff.
All right, this was posted on the Vimeo service by Pamela Anderson, which is why it got a lot of attention. His lawyer speaking with the BBC about his mental health.
Obviously, I cannot reveal the patient-doctor confidentiality protected diagnosis, but we could see that Mr. Assange showed all symptoms that are typical for prolonged exposure to psychological torture. Now, recently, my understanding is he has been transferred to the healthcare unit of the Belmarsh prison. Apparently, there should be some, as I understand, dramatic weight loss and also a grave deterioration of his capacity to concentrate and actually engage with the lawyers.
So how long has it been since they first carried him out? Now, this kind of also makes me wonder, did they carry him out because he couldn't walk because of his already dramatic weight loss, which it didn't appear to be? His face seemed kind of full. Did he lose all this weight in just, a month's time? How long has it been? 6 weeks?
I don't know. The whole thing seems very strange, but I mean, I'm wondering how much of... Well, let's just play these clips.
Well, I have some more on this if you want to hear it. Just a little more.
It's very terrible to whoever. She should have cleaned up that audio a little bit.
What's the BBC, man?
A grave deterioration of his capacity to concentrate and actually engage with the lawyers.
So is he fit for trial or not?
It seems that he was not able to stand trial this week because of his medical incapacity to be present in court. It doesn't surprise me that this is the case. The psychiatrist that accompanies my mission said his current state is critical. He urgently needs access to a psychiatrist that is not part of the prison service, someone that he can fully trust. If he doesn't get that, and if the pressure on him is not alleviated rapidly, we will have to expect a rapid and serious deterioration of his state of health.
What does he say now to you? What was he saying to you when you went to visit him?
Well, he is extremely afraid of what will happen to him. He said, I cannot count on the judicial institutions in this country to be fair. I cannot count on fair judicial proceedings in Sweden. Everything is biased against me. I have no voice, and I don't have enough time to prepare my defense in any of these proceedings. The problem for Julian Assange is that he has multiple complex legal proceedings that are expanding as we speak to various jurisdictions. New charges are being added all the time, and he has no chance to prepare a proper defense for these cases.
Pretty much similar codes, but they're actually audible. Let's start with Assange being tortured. Democracy Now!
Joined by Niels Melzer, the UN Special Rapporteur on Torture. Welcome to Democracy Now! Why don't you begin by telling us the results of your report and describing your visit to see Julian Assange?
Wait, is this going to be the same damn guy?
Yeah, but you can hear him.
Yeah, we got you. We heard you the first 5 times. Are you still pissed about your clips that sucked last time? Is that why you're so passively aggressive?
Of course.
Well, stop.
The Belmarsh prison in London.
Yeah, thank you, Amy. Well, I did visit.
Oh, yeah, the bucket sound. Well done.
Visit Mr. Assange in prison, Belmarsh prison, on the 9th of May in the company of two medical experts. And my primary concerns really are that I'm extremely worried about his current state of health, which was alarming already when I visited him, and which seems to have deteriorated rapidly since then to the point where he's no longer even able to stand trial and to participate in court hearings. I must say that I'm appalled at the sustained and concerted abuse that this man has been exposed to at the hands of several democratic states over a period of almost a decade. And I'm gravely concerned about the prospects of a possible extradition to the United States. As I have indicated this morning in Geneva, I worry that he would be exposed to a politicized show trial in violation of his human rights.
I don't know about that. How's that a violation of human rights? Okay.
Well, hold on a second.
I'm getting suspicious.
Yeah.
And so there's going to be this argument. First of all, a piece came out this morning saying, well, why isn't the CIA and the government going after him about his revelations about Vault 7?
Right.
Which supposedly gave up all these CIA techniques.
Well, not just the techniques, not just techniques, but tools as well, I understand.
Tools
and techniques. Sources and methods.
And then the article goes on to say, we don't get this, whether they're not going after him for that, but they're going to go after him on espionage. And then in the same sentence, they say, which is going to be very hard to prove, which brings us back to your thesis that this may all be bullshit.
Well, now I'm thinking the best solution for everybody, mainly for intelligence services, and I'm looking at you, Five Eyes, is to have Assange die. That's the best way. WikiLeaks is still WikiLeaks. It can still be controlled by whoever. And I'm not saying Assange would actually be dead, but what a perfect setup right now. He's sick. It's not going well. We haven't seen him. He's gone. Oops, sorry. Throw a casket in the ground. And
it's possible. I don't know if he'd go along with it, but it'd be better than what he's doing.
Well, Assange is not important anymore. Now it's really about WikiLeaks, which, I mean, you tell me. Remember when they were literally deplatforming WikiLeaks.org from the internet by hijacking, the FBI got the DNS. They were jamming DNS everywhere. Then you had tons of mirrors. Everyone was registering a different WikiLeaks domain to help spread the load. And now I don't see any of that, just WikiLeaks.org. That works fine. They're on Twitter.
You think they're being co-opted?
Yeah, I would say. By us.
So let's take a look at I'm not going to argue against that. Let's take a look at this guy goes on, this Niels character who's a UN torture guy, and he's supposed to be able to go in and say, hey, you're torturing somebody, stop it. Of course, that doesn't.
I want that job.
It's a good job.
It's a great job.
But before getting to his other clips, I want to play, because there's an implication that, well, you can't get a fair trial because the jury pool has been tampered with. I think of a lot of based on our lousy results from the last newsletter, which where we discussed Julian Assange. I would guess that a good portion of our audience all think Julian Assange is a traitor and should be hung.
Or I don't know about that.
It doesn't take a lot. Anyway, so let's listen to just to get a feeling for what the public might believe is going on. I have some clips from The View.
Woo!
I'm trying to decide which ones to. Okay, well, let's go with this one, which is a gem. This is Whoopi introducing the arrest of Julian Assange when it happened, and then Joy Behar jumping in. And Joy brings us back up to speed on exactly what the situation is in the society and all around.
Julian Assange has been arrested. He faces charges in the U.S. for...
What?
She says Julian Assange.
It's with a name like Whoopi. What do you expect?
Julian Assange has been arrested. He faces charges in the U.S. for conspiring to hack into a classified government computer. WikiLeaks tweeted that he's won dozens of journalism awards, nominated for a Nobel Prize every year since 2010. And this is just a campaign by the CIA to delegitimize and dehumanize him. I was almost a dehumidify him.
That's exactly what they're doing.
He's quite human. So what do you think it is? Why is this happening? Did he break the law? Was it a problem?
Well, remember what he did originally.
Yeah, tell.
Well, he hacked into the Democrats' computers and helped Trump get elected, basically, by exposing Podesta's emails, and then Comey went after Hillary. And remember that? And
I do. Yeah.
That's why Trump won, basically. In 2016.
Holy crap! Oh, I gotta listen to that last bit again. What did Assange do?
That's computers and help.
Yeah, tell.
Yes. Well, he hacked into the Democrats' computers.
Wait a minute. 2 years of Mueller report, and this is what you took away from it, Joy?
And helped Trump get elected, basically, by exposing Podesta's emails, and then Comey went after Hillary. And remember that? And that's why Trump won, basically.
But he's been doing it since 2010.
Wow.
Okay.
Oh my goodness. Well, she does not pass the Mueller test. So now Assange hacked into it's no longer the Russians. It wasn't the Internet Research Agency. It was Assange. Well,
yes,
kill him.
But that's another clip. The view on Assange working with the Russians.
Okay.
But can I point out there is a difference, Sonny, in being a whistleblower and being a straight-up hacker. And what we found out with Assange is he conspired with Russia to meddle in our 2016 election.
So it was him.
If that is not committing a crime, I don't know what that is. I think so to say that's under the freedom of speech, I can't get. Here's what I would tell you.
Let her do it.
Wow.
When she says that, Whoopi says, so it was him.
Yeah, like
that meddled in the election.
Yeah. Oh, now we know. Well, let's just review for a second. I don't understand. I know they have producers on this show. I know that they're constantly talking into their ears. I know a lot of people watch this show and take what these women say as gospel. This is pretty sad. Everything she just said is wrong. Everything
they both said. Those are two different women.
Yes. Well, they all said it. They're wrong.
So let's see what McCain has to say.
Actually prosecuted him.
The politics of this have always been completely hypocritical on both sides. Eric Holder under Obama decided against pursuing persecution of Assange, of concerns that WikiLeaks was, quote, a journalistic organization that would raise First Amendment issues. Chelsea Manning was granted clemency. Chelsea Manning in 2010 released 750,000 classified and sensitive military documents that put our national security at risk. Under the Obama administration, she was given clemency. This is something that a lot of people who have put national security at first, I put myself in that category, have been warning about and warning about and warning about. And the only time the Democrats started caring is when it started affecting them politically, and Hillary Clinton's emails were released, and John Podesta's emails were released.
What's going to happen with him? That's my question.
So here's the biggest
I hope he rots
problem.
in hell, starting with that.
Well, there you go.
I hope he rots in hell, gets a round of applause.
We don't even need to extradite him. He's guilty, done, and rotten in hell already. Doesn't matter. Just bring a piece of hair. Yeah, we got his scalp, girls. That's pretty low. Pretty low.
So let's go back to our UN guy.
This is, what's his name again?
Nils something. First of all, let's have a short clip that kind of reflects what the View people think. In other words, the jury pool has been poisoned to the point where it's even at the judge level. Play this little thick clip here, Nils on not guilty plea.
the same day he was dragged out of the embassy after more than 6 years, and the same day he was pulled into a UK court. He was given reportedly less than 15 minutes with his defense lawyer to prepare a defense, and then in a very short hearing was convicted for bail violation, and the judge even insulted him as being a narcissist who cannot get beyond himself. Now, as a lawyer, having worked at court myself, I cannot imagine how a judge could come to such a conclusion when the defendant didn't say anything else in that hearing than I plead not guilty.
Oh, well, it's a kangaroo court then, obviously.
You think?
Mm-hmm. Well, of course, we do have certain standards here in the United States. I give you the example, as brought to us by former CIA chief John Brennan.
People are innocent until alleged to be involved in some type of criminal activity.
Okay, just so you know, it's like we're very similar to the International Criminal Court at this point.
Sounds like it.
We're
so
right
let's play the last clip I have. Neil's talking about getting a fair trial in the United States.
Yes, I'm gravely...
Hold on, wait, stop. I was wondering what this. I write cues for myself on these clips, and the cue in this case was ask, and I forgot what it was before I just threw the clip out. Amy has just asked him, "What is the potential for getting a fair trial in the United States?"
Okay.
Yes, I'm gravely concerned. I'm almost, certain that he would not get a fair trial and a safe treatment in the United States. The public prejudice, including on the part of former and current officials in the United States, is so predominant for several years now, and so that it would be almost impossible to have an impartial court hearing where he could actually be heard with his concerns. When we see the charges that have been added now recently under the Espionage Act, most of them really relate to activities that any investigative journalist is conducting every day. So it's really a reason for concern for press freedom around the world. Then we are also, with the United States, unfortunately dealing with a country that in the last 20 years has not shown to be consistent in enforcing the prohibition of torture with its own officials. We can speak to the Senate committee report that has not led to a single prosecution contrary to their obligations under the Convention Against Torture. Obviously, the collateral murder video has not led to any prosecutions either. The only person that is being prosecuted here seems to be the one that actually exposed all of these.
Yeah, that's our culture, bro. That's what our elites always do. Daniel Ellsberg with the Pentagon Papers. Boom, Espionage Act. Of course, that's what we do. We are horrible that way.
Yeah, well, it tends to work a little bit. I did get I dug up the old McGovern clip. Ray McGovern, the ex-CIA guy, talking about and I left the beginning of this clip in. It has something to do with this in an obscure way, but mostly to do with what The View said about Russia hacking.
No, Julian Assange hacking, not Russia. Julian Assange.
Julian Assange hacked the DNC.
Yeah.
McGovern makes an interesting comment. This was done in the middle of 2018, and he says we don't hear about hacking anymore. In 2018, I think he was in a moment in time where that might have been true, but it's not true anymore. And this particular information that he goes on and on about, which we've discussed on the show a lot, which is that it couldn't have been hacked. It had to be a thumb drive. And that which brings in all kinds of other possibilities.
Well, I do have some new information regarding that, but let's listen to the clip first.
Let's listen to McGovern, and then you can update us.
You don't hear anything about Russian hacking anymore, right? That's interesting. That was a big deal. Well, suffice it to say that with the help of our two former technical directors of NSA, Bill Binney and Ed Loomis, we've been able to prove that the celebrated, quote, hack, end quote, of 5 July 2016, which was blamed on the Russians, and the Russians alleged to have given it to WikiLeaks, and that, of course, was the DNC emails, that this was not a hack. not a hack. By the Russians? No, not by the Russians. It's not a hack by anybody. Now, how does that work? Think of the internet as a pipe, okay? Now, we know what the capacity of the internet was in early July of 2016. The information said to have been hacked could not have been hacked because it was downloaded onto a thumb drive at a speed 3 times what the internet pipe would have been able to tolerate given its capacity. This is physics, okay? Now, what rate was that it was downloaded? Well, it happened to be exactly the same rate as the thumb drive can tolerate. So, last thing here is that we know and have proven from forensics that the FBI did not do, okay, that the celebrated hack on the 5th of July was not by Russia, by anybody else. It was a download, you can say. It was a copy onto a thumb drive because the speed at which it was copied exceeded the capacity of the internet by 3 times.
Here's the problem. I do have information I want to talk about. Here's the problem I have with this, and we've repeated this, and I want to believe this. I'd like to know exactly what log they're looking at. For if it was transferred through, so they have a server log somewhere which shows a transfer. Is that correct? And who has this, and how do we get this server log in the first place?
I don't know.
Okay.
Nobody ever seems to explain it.
Well, this is why I don't like it. If you have access to logs that can show you the speed at which it was downloaded, then you also know what port and what protocol was used. I never hear anyone talk about it except for because of the speed, it had to be a USB drive. I don't say thumb drive. That's kind of like 1998. I'll say USB drive. However,
I've got information, man. New shit has come to light.
In lacking of any evidence that it was an actual thumb drive, I now have pretty much proof that it would have worked and could have easily been a power line connector. Could have been anything. And I'm a little tired of people repeating this. It had to be. It had to be. It had to be. Without show me the log. I know what logs look like. I know where the logs come from. Was it a Unix server? Was it a Windows machine? Was it a Windows 2000 server?
I actually find it difficult to believe that one of the security blogs doesn't have all this information.
I've not seen it. Well, of course, now we have the troll room posting all kinds of possible articles, which I'm happy about because we need to know.
Well, you said you had new information.
That's what I just said. It could have been a power line adapter.
You're just throwing it. Okay, that's not new information. That's supposition.
Yes, of course it is.
And of course, you brought the power line thing in because this is a theme.
When you need to explain my jokes, it's already bad. Okay.
Sorry. I'm thinking, what is he got? Where is he going with this? And then it's just a joke ridiculing the power line technology.
No, you. Not
which
power.
Would be, by the way, I mean, I never thought about it, but if you think about having a power line connection.
Oh, there's all kinds of possibilities. All you have to do is just drop one in somewhere, or you have to press 2 buttons at the same time to pair them.
No, you don't. It's not at the same time. They have to be near each other. You push one button and it blinks, and then you push the other button, and then they're paired. You don't have to push them both at the same time.
You have to have access to both of them within the same time frame.
Yes.
Okay. So it's not a great way. Anyway,
that's not true. Here's the way it would work. You have your master and your slave, and you're sitting in the office here, and you put them in 2 plugs, and you pair them, and then you take the slave, and then you stick it over someplace else. Now you can put it anywhere you want.
Okay. It doesn't send out a blip through the Why am I even asking you this? I don't want to know anymore. It's fine. It was a thumb drive.
I'm going with the power line idea.
How do people get these transfer times? I see it in the troll room. Hey, there was no log. Transfer time is where do you get transfer time from? Just magic appeared out of the sky? No, I'm sorry. I'm not buying it anymore. until someone can show me where this information comes from. And this is the Binney group, so I hold them in pretty high regard. They should do more than just say.
I will look into it.
Okay. You have a second clip from McGovern?
Yeah, this is I don't even know what this clip is, but I put it here for. I got 3 clips apparently. Play McGovern. No, I got 2. You're right. Play this second clip. Sorry, this is the motive.
Since got information, Bill Binney is still working on this, that shows that Guccifer 2.0, who is said to be working for the Russians or very much involved in this, that it's a fraud, that everything he's been saying is demonstrably suspect because of various physical principles. Now, why is that of importance? Well, let me just tell you that we have a new nuclear posture statement revealed on Friday. And the really new aspect of this says that we can go to war with nuclear weapons or these small nuclear weapons on the occasion of any kind of enemy act, including cyber attack. Whoa. So 80% of the American people, according to my informal poll, including my family, believe that everybody knows the Russians hacked into our election. Everybody knows that, just like everybody knew that there were weapons of mass destruction in Iraq. It's not true that they did. It's demonstrably untrue. But, the next time this comes around, next time there's a cyber attack by the Russians or anybody else, so-called, this was still on the record. Well, they hacked into our election. They tried to undermine a democracy in 2016. And they're doing it again.
Yeah. And this is, anything McGovern says, anything we say, once the information is out there, and I'm demure and disappointed and somewhat depressed by the View clips. That is now what people will believe. Julian Assange hacked into our elections, hacked into the Hillary Clinton, just into Clinton. Don't have to say anything. Just hacked into Clinton and published everything. That's the state. No one else will give a shit. No one else will remember anything. There's no more truth to be had. It's over and done with. And Assange will never stand trial. Dead man walking. Sorry. They're going to kill him. They got it. The message is out. They got everything they need in place. Off him. Continue with WikiLeaks. Great co-opt.
Well, that's what you'd do. You'd co-opt it, and it's been done. I don't know how they're going to deal with Assange if he does get killed.
An urn is not that big. I mean, you can kind of put it anywhere.
But if you've got the people at the View going off like they did with this unbelievable bullcrap, yeah, nobody will care. There'd be a lot of good riddance, or I mean, the other thing I didn't bitch about so much in the last show, but I continually bitch about is the fact that Assange isn't an American, but yet they call him a traitor.
Yeah. Well, did they call him that on The View? I didn't hear the T word on The View.
No, they didn't call him on. No, she just wanted him to rot in hell. Right. But they didn't call him that on The View. But they could just, if they did, it would have fit right in.
Right.
But others have. I mean, a lot of our senators, a lot of Republican senators have called him a traitor.
Mm-hmm.
I think even Trump may have. I'm not sure. But he's been called a traitor on and on and on. And it's just beyond me, because how can you be a traitor if you're not even a citizen?
No. You can be an enemy of the state.
Well, that's
about it. That's about it.
A lot of people can be an enemy of the state.
I'd like to talk for a moment about something that I think it happened on show day. I believe it happened on Thursday. The president threatened Mexico with 5% tariffs on all goods from Mexico as of June 10th. If they don't slow down the wave of people seeking entry into the United States without proper paperwork. It's my new term for illegal. And I have to say two things. First, I think it's a brilliant strategy. This makes so much sense, and I think Mexico responded quite quickly. But also, and I haven't heard anyone mention this, not even on Fox where I expected it to pop up, this will be the way he turns around and says, there you go. And Mexico's paying for the wall. No one has said this yet. It's so obvious to me. Like, so what is it? $300 billion a year. So it'd be.
Well, he says you could jack it up too.
Yeah, every month, 5% every month.
Yeah,
it's fantastic. They'll be paying for the wall. I don't know how he's going to turn around and sell it, but he's going to have to say that. It's perfect.
Well, it would be stunning if he doesn't.
Did you guys I guess you couldn't talk about this with Horowitz since it happened after Tuesday's show, I guess, or did it? I don't remember.
No, it was no, exactly.
Yeah.
It was after the show.
So, what do you think about this? About the tariffs?
Well, I haven't really given it a lot of thought. I didn't think it was a bad idea if it works, because all the idea is that you're going to ding them until they put their foot down. And if you remember, let's see, probably during the Obama administration, this was discussed, because it was discussed a lot by the right wingers. Oh no, I don't know what political site discussed this, but you'll remember as soon as I bring it up. Mexico supposedly said, well, we're dealing so harshly with the Mexicans, or a little harshly with the Mexicans, and everyone's saying the counter was, you're being too harsh with these Mexicans as they're coming over the border. Well, Mexico, on their southern border, anybody comes over, they beat the crap out of them, send them back. They're very harsh. They grab them and they deport them. They do not let anyone come up the southern border, and they made a big stink about it. This was a big point of discussion, probably in 2014, 2012, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
And it kept going on. What happened to that policy where the Mexicans all of a sudden are saying, well, were you coming over? We're going to beat the crap out of you if you're going to stay here. And they say, no, we're going to the United States. Oh, okay. Just take the C-1 up the coast.
I presume once the Soros dollars came through, it was like, oh, yeah, it's friend of George. Let him go.
Yeah, but look, I got credit cards.
They got a card. Got a Visa debit card. Friend of George. Yeah, off you go. No problem.
So with that in mind, you'd think that the Mexicans obviously have a little more control over the situation. And Mexico, the way it's shaped, it's kind of, like a funnel. And so it's not that easy. You don't have a big border like we do with the United States. You have a very small border down the south, and it's very easy to control. And that's all. I think the Mexicans can do it if they want to, because they've done it before.
Well, it seemed that hours after this threat went out, the Mexicans say, "Whoa, let's send some people over Friday. Let's sit down and have a little chat. We can work something out." And of course, we see all kinds of people gearing up to get the courts, and it's illegal, and you can't do it. He has no power. And I am so done with all of this. I'm looking at other news around the world. Everything here is a stupid sideshow of outrage and people addicted to emotion. It's sad. Yeah, it's very sad. It's not funny. There's nothing interesting. Except
I think I do. There's funny moments. For example, for today, I've got the Trump Genius ISO. I think is really a funny moment.
Oh, is this something that maybe I can use for end of show? Let's see.
I'm an extremely stable genius.
It's not a new one.
No, of course it's not. I bet I've been itching to get it.
All right.
Well, we can talk about...
No, let me grab the wheel here. Let's talk about some of our 2020 candidates just to get it out of the way. And then we have a lot of other things to talk about. Yeah, there's been some new information. We're learning things about people. First of all, yes.
I have some new. I haven't put it on the page yet, but I have some new thoughts on this. You should. Yeah. Okay. Tell me what you got.
Okay. Well, I'd say the number 2 candidate is Hillary Clinton. We still think she will, according to the Cosmic Weenie, she will re-enter and she'll fly right in. And
there's no evidence that she won't.
And, of course, this came across our desk.
So get this, folks. Hillary Clinton is set to serve as a keynote speaker at the 2019 Cyber Defense Summit. The cybersecurity company FireEye tweeting this flyer out and saying the event is designed to inform executives about how to, quote, mitigate, detect, and respond to cyber attacks. But is the political figure who really came to define mismanagement of cybersecurity the right person to keynote a conference on cybersecurity?
Well, yeah, I'd say she's the perfect one to keynote that. And it's interesting that it's FireEye, since they've always dealt with CrowdStrike.
Bing, bing.
I think, yeah, and FireEye really the pew pew guys? Are they the ones with the map?
Pew. I don't know. I can't keep track of these boneheads.
I believe so. Well, the troll room knows. The troll room knows. Is it the FireEye guys who have the map?
Pew, pew.
I think it is. Yeah. Yes. We hear you with your pew pew. No, that was Norse. Not sure.
It is if you're the...
Oops. Let's see. I do have the pew pew here. There we go. I think that'll be a big hit for her. I'm sure she's getting a lot of money for it. And I think people will enjoy. And I bet she'll have some funny one-liners. And it'll be a pretty good show.
I wonder how much she's getting. This is really... I'd love to find out.
You got to have a good payday if you're going to do something like this. I mean, it's self-deprecating, which is funny. It's totally getting the awareness. I mean,
she'll play it too. She'll play the self-deprecating part.
Yeah, so you got to get a payday for that. It's got to be good. These guys, aren't they public? I think FireEye is public.
Well, talking about candidates, there's something that was brought up on NewsHour.
Public company. So give her some stock, give her some options. It's beautiful.
Oh, yeah, that would work.
Mm-hmm.
We'll give you some stock. Oh, okay. That's how they get rich in Silicon Valley.
Yes, stock options.
So it was kind of brought up on the NewsHour. And when they brought it up, I didn't think too much about it. I do have a clip which talks about one aspect. I will play that, but let me just tell you what the theory is. There's a bunch of Democrats, and David Brooks himself says, I don't know why these people are even running, because I don't know what they're thinking. This is crazy. But there's a bunch of Democrats, and no one has noticed this. I try to talk about it a little bit, but as you hear from the clip that I'm going to play, it doesn't go anywhere. But there are certain candidates that are single issue. This is very old-fashioned type of politics. Single issue candidates. Gillibrand is for women's rights and pro-abortion. That's it. Eric Swalwell from California.
Guns.
Gun control.
Mm-hmm.
Gun control and more gun control. Inslee, the bonehead governor from Washington State. Climate change and only climate change. He's running on a climate change platform. I don't know that I can isolate more of these.
Well,
but now I'm... Yes.
Well, what I was going to say is that I can answer the question why these people are running. They're not running because they believe they have any chance. They're running to raise their profile. So they are preparing for the next step. It could be a Senate seat. Could be.
No, I totally agree with that, and I think even I've mentioned maybe in the Cosmic Weenie piece that Tulsi Gabbard, I think, is just after that idiot senator from Hawaii, Mazie, whatever her name is.
Mazie Hirono. Yeah, Mazie Hirono.
She's hopeless. But I think these single issue things, it's not as though there's any crossover, which makes me wonder if they're test marketing the issues.
Different ideas? Okay. Yeah, that could be.
So you run these different candidates out there and you see which one gets traction with whatever issue they're running on, and then you incorporate that issue into the platform. And none of these candidates, of course, have a chance, and I think that's pretty obvious. When they talked about on NewsHour, they talked about Gillibrand a bit. Play this clip. Is Mark Shields on abortion and Gillibrand.
And now we turn to the analysis of Shields and Brooks. That is syndicated columnist Mark Shields and New York Times columnist David Brooks. Hello to both of you. So we are trying to work our way through a conversation with each one of these candidates. Mark, there are now, as we said, 23 of them. We talked to Eric Swalwell tonight. Kirsten Gillibrand last night. I'm not going to say they're one-issue candidates, but they are. In his case, you heard him talk about gun control. Kirsten Gillibrand emphasizing women's issues. What are you hearing from them? Is it smart for them to seize on one issue or not?
Well, we'll find out on whether it is. It just strikes me that abortion as an issue has been that's where Kirsten Gillibrand is probably most prominently identified. Is an issue where those who seek it's hard to imagine and
spit it out, man.
I just say the uneasy consensus. I mean, and that's this, and that to me, if you start to, it's just to change that, which I think Republicans are finding right now. When you've got, I think it tells you something about the politics of that issue.
It was.
So that summarized it.
Come on, you edited that. The guy does not sound like that. He's bad, but he's not that bad.
Anyway, I think it brings it right.
I will not have this fake news, these deep fakes taking place without you coming clean.
Well, I will say that I trimmed it to make it more concise.
Okay.
And I went out of my way to do a specifically better job. So the ear won't hear.
Yeah,
you.
No, it was undetectable, John. I don't know how you did it. All right, Kamala Harris is not a single issue candidate. She is a no issue candidate. Here's what she says. You just bring up an issue to me, John. Any issue.
So, what is your take on gun control?
I think gun control in this country is something we ought to have a conversation about. Try me again.
What do you think about abortion?
Yes, we need to have a comprehensive conversation about women's reproductive rights.
And you don't think that this is another one of the test marketing strategies?
No,
issue candidate?
No, I think she's sitting there waiting for the other jamokes to come in with their reports and and this didn't work really well, Kamala. Well, try this one. And I don't know how serious she's being taken as a candidate. She was on stage at a Move On conference. All of a sudden, some man bun pops up on stage, grabs her mic.
You would have said something. You got a mic and they cut him off.
Well, he talks. You can hear him a little bit here.
Asking for your attention to a much bigger idea than. Thank you so much, sir, for your big idea.
So there's 15. I'm going to let it run for a second. There's 15 seconds between this man bun popping up on stage. Kamala gets up, walks away slowly, and after 15 seconds, some kind of security guard jumps the guy from behind, pushes him away. How serious can you take this candidate if she has zero security? Any douchebag can pop up and hey, here we go. I'm just grabbing the mic and right in your face. Nothing happened.
But we want to make sure that we are able.
But also, what kind of a leader is Kamala Harris? I mean, she's gone now. She's off the stage, and this is going on.
This. Okay, it's okay, folks. It's okay. People have their own big ideas. They have their own big ideas.
So she could have easily come back. The guy is off the stage.
To our folks that have come here to speak to us.
She didn't have to leave at all. She was never in any real danger after they got him. And look, Kamala. They have to chant to bring her back. This would be the leader of the free world in our country. A pussy. No.
This is Pachenik's pick.
Well, then he's picking a pussy. She's a coward. She's a coward. She didn't really even want to come back on stage, even though this guy had been gone for a minute.
Well, I remember
bad optics in my view. Bad optics for someone who wants to be president and leader. You can step back for a second, maybe even say something, address it. She was gone. She was in the limo.
I remember in the years past when Gene McCarthy was running for president, and he showed up at the Berkeley campus. And he was like showed up and he was walking around with no security really, and some maniac just like this guy, only an older version or a different version. It's a hippie version as opposed to the man bun type, who's a creepy looking guy, by the way. They started yelling at him, and McCarthy, he gave as good as he got. He just stood there, stood his ground, and started yakking with the guy and saying, "No, you're wrong about this. You're wrong about that."
Sure.
I was very impressed by this. Skulking off, in fear is not the way to do it.
You kind of have to see the video to just see that, she sits there, the guy comes right to her, yanks the mic out of her hand. She's like, oh, and then, the guy's yapping, he's walking, and then you just see her go tiptoe through the tulips.
And the thing is, she kept that kind of shit-eating grin that she always has. She has this one smile.
Yeah. We should have a conversation about that, I think.
I'll just keep the smile on my face as I move out of the way.
Let's have a conversation about that man bun. And then we had Elizabeth Warren. She went on the Breakfast Club, which is Power 105 in New York, who apparently have no commercials. I don't know how they make any money, but they interviewed her for almost 45 minutes, not a single commercial break, which is for a morning show is pretty good. But it also it really gave time for us to get to know the candidates. And they are brutally honest. You've probably heard little snippets of this. I figured it's no agenda. Why don't we play the entire piece in context where they ask her specifically about her mistake of thinking she was of Native American heritage.
I want to clear up some stuff because there's a lot of criticism that's said about you, so I want to give you the opportunity to speak on these things. The Native American thing. Do you regret taking the DNA test?
Look, I can't go back. But
you got to explain to a lot of people that don't know. Now, you came out and said that you were Native American
long ago,
and they found out that you weren't, and people were very upset about that.
This ain't for the people who don't know.
No, but a lot of people don't
have that much time
because we're putting people up to her as well. So
notice that
notice
that she's also fighting the same issue that we were talking about with what the public believes. These guys, and she's not answering any questions, obviously. So do you regret taking the DNA test? She didn't say no. She's like, you claimed falsely you're Native American. No, long ago. She in the people's mind, she's a liar, and I don't think she can break through it.
So I grew up in Oklahoma. I learned about my family the same way most people learn about their family, from my mama and my daddy and my aunts and my uncles.
Cornflakes box.
And it's what I believe. But I'm not a person of color. I'm not a citizen of a tribe. And I shouldn't have done it.
If you had a chance to do it over, would you?
I can't go back, but I shouldn't have. But what I can do is try to be a good partner. And that's what I do every day.
How long did you hold on to that? Because there was some report that said you were a Native American on your Texas bar license, and that you said you were a Native American on some documents when you were a professor at Harvard. Like, why'd you do that?
So it's what I believe. That's, like I said, it's what I learned from my family.
When did you find out you weren't?
Well, I'm not a person of color. I'm not a citizen of a tribe. And tribal citizenship is an important distinction and not something I am. So.
Were there any benefits to that?
No. Boston Globe did a full investigation. It never affected, nothing about my family ever affected any job I ever got.
She didn't get a discount in college. No.
You kind of like the original Rachel Dolezal a little bit. Rachel Dolezal was a white woman pretending to be black.
No, this is what I learned from my family.
She needs a crisis management.
She's a better comeback is what she needs. Yeah,
I can give some ideas of what she should have done.
Okay.
First of all, she's right off the bat. She could have killed this whole thing in the Rachel Dolezal thing at the beginning when they said you regret taking the DNA test. She should be more aggressive and say, look. I was convinced. and then maybe you could do a little sidebar here and say, do you remember that there's a black woman on YouTube that took her DNA test and says she was white, and she's very upset about this. I was convinced I was Native American. I have some features that look Native American. I was told I was Native American, and everybody's ridiculing me for it because I'm white. So I decided to take the DNA test because I took the DNA test because that's what I thought. Once it proved that I was a Native American, I said, okay, fine, I'm out of here.
Yeah, but see, the problem there is that if you recall, I'm actually looking for it, when she did the DNA test, she had a friend of, I think, one of her husband's friends, and he is part owner of the company that did the analysis, and he called her on the phone, and they had both sides of it. Well, looks like you're definitely Pocahontas. And, so she can't get away from that. That you recall.
She's done.
I'm sorry?
Because what I described, you're right. Because actually there's two things involved. One, and this, she doubled down was her problem. When the test came back, there was something about her maybe having some Peruvian or some South
American, South American,
South American, Indian maybe, and so she went with that. And as soon as she did that, then the Cherokee Nation or one of the Indian tribes said, "Hey, this got nothing to do with nothing," and they brought up the thing about you're not a member of a tribe and the whole thing is bogus. And so then she was kind of stuck in the middle. She should have used the DNA test to escape from the nonsense of her being Native American. Right. She could have done it and say, I guess it's not true. There's some evidence maybe it's South America, but she didn't do that. She doubled down. That's the mistake she made. She probably should have gotten a consultant early.
Yeah.
No, she screwed up. She's a complete, there's no way she's going to get anywhere.
Gosh, I wish I knew what those clips were.
Yeah, like this black guy's giving it to her.
We believe in science.
That's right. Especially that of DNA. She pandered.
Well, use that as the ISO for the end of the show.
You like that one? She pandered quite a bit. Every time she could turn around and say reparations or HBCU, historically black colleges, and we got to give more money there. She's just a panderer. But then she talked about her trip to the border a year ago, and I found this to be quite disingenuous. No doubt the border is messy, and detention facilities, go to any jail, any place where people are detained, it's not pretty. You see human beings behind bars. But there's another way you can paint that picture if you're Elizabeth Warren.
I went down to the border. It's been, probably about a year ago right now. Mm-hmm. When it first came out about separating mamas from their babies. Mm-hmm. And picture an Amazon warehouse. Only it's dirty and it smelled bad.
Oh, well, wait a minute. How is that different from an Amazon warehouse?
Picture
I beat you to it, right?
An Amazon warehouse. Only it's dirty and it smelled bad. And I walk in, and on the left, it's cage after cage after cage.
Cage.
About 10 feet wide, about 40 feet deep, toilet back in the corner. And they're just jammed one after another after another. Same thing on the right, only cages of women. Then you walk into the main space, and there are these huge freestanding cages out in the middle of little girls.
Jesus.
Oh.
A lot of that. Cages and cages and cages. And the way that conjures up is images of actual cages. But of course, it's it's bars, it's a cell.
No, her pandering and then the reparations thing and all the rest of it, these impractical ideas. She's full of crap. She's always been full of crap. And since she did that hearing about Rachel calling on the phone, the robocalls, and we have to put a stop to it. It's worse than ever. She is a do-nothing senator, a do-nothing person who just is very ambitious.
I have a clip here just because I see it from 2011. It says, Elizabeth Warren, elitist. Shall we just have a listen since it's an old clip and you never know what joy it could bring us?
I'm sure it's fantastic.
You are causing problems. We had an agreement for a later hearing. Your staff asked us.
No, it's not good. I can already tell it's not going to be good without knowing what it is. All right. Then I have Brexit.
Yeah. Brexit.
Yes, well, a couple of things. I didn't get any clips or anything of John Cleese, but you know he's been in the news.
That Cleese clip was not that good.
No, it wasn't. I did get a good clip from Elton John, which I thought was it shows exactly the problem with people in this case who are with the establishment and virtue signal and claim things, but really are behaving in exactly the opposite way. So Elton John is in the news now, not only because there's this movie out about him called Rocket Man, which is in theaters now, and I'm very much looking forward to that. And of course, they've got the publicity machine ramped up. You know, whoa, in Russia they're showing it. They're cutting out the gay scenes. Well, that's just so you don't have to pay a fine. So you're cutting out the gay scenes. So don't lie about that. But then he's on stage, and this is what he said just the other night.
If there is one thing that I've learned as I get older, it's the incredible healing power of love and compassion.
Woo!
And
love!
I really believe that we need more love.
Love, John, love, compassion, the healing power
write this
of
down.
Love. Yeah, write it down, because you're going to need it in about 30 seconds. Love and compassion.
And I really believe that we need more love and compassion in the world today.
I agree. Let's show some love, Elton.
A lot more. I am so sick to death of politicians, especially British politicians.
There's some love and compassion.
I'm sick to death of Brexit.
Love and compassion.
I am a European. I am not a stupid colonial imperialist English idiot.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong. He's saying, I love and compassion, but I'm not a stupid imperialist English idiot who likes Brexit. Am I missing something, or is he missing the compassion of people who feel different than he does in this case? He just said 20 seconds ago. He just said 20 seconds ago, and he comes back to it.
I'm ashamed of my country for what it has done. It's torn people apart. So I want more love in the world. I want us to talk to each other.
Clip of the day. More love, just like that. I'm sick of these imperial English idiots. More love and compassion, everybody. I mean,
wow. It sounds like De Niro.
When people don't even see, I mean, do they not see this themselves? It's like, oh man. And I know he can just say, I'm sick of what's happening, but he's really, really calling out people who are pro-Brexit as imperialist idiots. His own countrymen.
Yeah. That's pretty bad. That's what happens. The guys get a lot of money. They think there's a lot of guys.
Well, Elton John is he's on a whole nother level. He can do whatever he wants as far as I'm concerned, but yeah.
Yeah, well, he's got all this money, and immediately the first thing they do is they eschew their own nation because they consider themselves above it all.
He lives in Atlanta.
They're international people. I'm an international person. I'm an international civilian.
He lives in Atlanta.
He lives in Atlanta.
That's his main house is in Atlanta.
Sure, he hates Trump too.
Yeah, we should just call him Sharon from now. Yeah, that's his gay name is Sharon.
Sharon?
Yes. There's a thing with a lot of gay men. It's probably more 80s, 90s thing. I don't know if it's still done. Yeah. Then so when he's hanging out with his buddies, and I didn't hang out with him, but AIDS Project Los Angeles, I did work for them way back in the MTV days, and that was his one of his charities. And everyone's just like, Sharon, and his head will whip around like, what the fuck? Who's Sharon? That's his name. But I think you have to be a gay guy to be able to call him that. Sharon.
Huh. Well, there's a tidbit you won't get on any other show.
Well, I realized that after 11 years, we probably should start repeating some of our stories because not everyone has heard them. And I've definitely mentioned this one before.
Oh, I don't think so.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Yeah, for sure.
It's nothing I would forget.
Mm-hmm.
You may have to, no, even after the show. I've never heard this story before. Maybe, I mean, it's possible, but no. All right. So we want to do, let's take, well, I got one more thing. Talking about love and hate. CNN brings on this guy, Professor Alan Lichtman. And Lichtman is the professor who predicted the last 9. He's got some list of criteria. And he's predicted supposedly, although he's only recently known, but he supposedly has predicted the last 9 presidential elections, nailed them, which he could make a lot of money if he parlayed that, it seems to me.
Mm-hmm.
So they bring him on. You think they're going to bring him on to discuss Trump as the potential candidate that he is. And, well, kind of. But let's play Professor Alan Lichtman 1.
But Professor Alan Lichtman has also made a name for himself by looking into the future. The historian has correctly predicted the last 9 presidential elections. Look at all the faces on your screen, he called, from Ronald Reagan in 1984 all the way through Donald Trump in 2016's biggest political upset in modern U.S. history. Now Lichtman says, albeit with some caution, since obviously nothing is final yet, but that Trump will win again. But the professor also believes Democrats do have a shot if they impeach him. So let's talk about that. Professor Alan Lichtman is with me now. Professor, good to have you on.
A shot. Good to be on.
So you called it 9 times. 9. And you say now, and I know we're still early and this is not your official prediction, but you think Trump is it in 2020 unless what?
Unless the Democrats grow a spine and do their constitutional duty and move into an impeachment inquiry, and I think the evidence will show ultimately an impeachment. It's a false dichotomy to say Democrats have a choice between doing what is right and what is constitutional and what is politically right. Impeachment is also politically right. Right now, based on my system, there has to be 6 negative factors against the party holding the White House, the Trump party, to predict their defeat. They're down only 3. But an impeachment would nail down the scandal key, a 4th key. It might trigger other keys like a real challenge to his renomination or a third party enough to defeat him. And let's not forget, impeachment is not just a vote in the House. It involves public hearings as part of the impeachment inquiry, and what everyone forgets, a public trial in the Senate in which House prosecutors present evidence, present documents, make opening and closing statements. You know, Richard Nixon, before all the public revelations, was at 67% approval. It was the public revelations of his misdeeds that drove him down to 25%.
But here's the but, Professor, because if you look at it the other way, and you, by the way, very well may be correct, but if you look at the other way, if you consider that Trump is daring Democrats to impeach him, right, that he sees this as this potential galvanizing moment for his party and also those, importantly, who've been on the fence ahead of 2020, might that not backfire on Democrats politically?
Absolutely not.
Oh, really? Okay.
Absolutely not. And then, of course, I'm already disappointed this guy's not giving us any insight whatsoever. He's just another Trump hater they bring on CNN. He goes on and on about how he should be impeached. And so he throws this in, and it's like after you listen to the Joy Behar rant and these other things that we've heard on the show so far, you hear this and you just go, what is the point of anything? If this is the way things are going to go, this is part 2. It's a short 9 seconds.
All the evidence against him. We're not just talking about obstruction of justice. We're also talking about something Mueller did not opine on, possible collusion with the Russians.
Please.
Mueller did not opine on, he says, collusion with the Russians.
Now, that was the news media, the very station you're at.
That's what the whole report was about.
You know, CNN has now, or Turner Broadcasting, I should say, subsidiary of Time Warner, is now moving all freelancers to a 90-day billing cycle.
Yeah.
That's usually not a good thing.
That's usually an accounting trick.
Yeah. Yeah, when you have issues with your pay role. It's a great, and they're offering people, we got a special deal through Citibank. They'll give you a loan in the meantime. Woohoo! That sounds like a groovy way to work. Well, someone else who was in the Nixon era was Tom Brokaw. He showed up on the Morning Joes to really express his displeasure at the ease at which these impeachment discussions are even being held.
And I've been going back over that period of time, and the great difference is it was so much more methodical then on both parties. They knew how serious this was. This is not just let's put it on the calendar for Monday. An impeachment means that we remove the president from office, and there's no more dramatic instance in the American Constitution or in the American political way of life than doing that. So they went at it, both parties, in the most methodical, thoughtful way. And so they crossed every T and dotted every I. They had discussions back and forth in public and privately. Now they just throw the word around like, let's take a break and have an impeachment. I think that's really, really inappropriate, and I think it cheapens the process, frankly. And I don't think that it advances our interest in moving this country forward at a time now when we need to be paying much more attention to what the Constitution says, what the process is, and who we are. We've got three branches of government. The president still is the strongest. But if you're going to take a president down, you better take him down in a way that you can defend that 100 years from now, based on not just the evidence, but on following the rule of law.
Yeah, I was actually stunned by this clip because it was on Morning Joe, and he's a known Trump basher.
Yeah, and he didn't really do the bashing.
They got caught off guard by this.
And they actually cut away from him kind of after that sentence. They didn't even say thanks, Tom. Just went to some other guy who was like, well, yeah. But for people outside the United States, but also many people inside the United States, the House doesn't impeach. That's not really how it works. They come up with the articles of impeachment, and then they send that to the Senate as a recommendation for the Senate to remove the president from office, which seems unlikely at this point. But Patsy Pelosi went on to Kimmel to sell her message, and she was on for she got a long segment. She had, I think, 3 segments. So she was there for 15, 20 minutes.
That's terrible.
Well, she said
it's supposed to be entertaining.
She said some funny things. I did pull one clip which I wanted to share, but she was really there to give the message to the populace that it's really not prudent to do this, and she doesn't want to do it. She knows why. It's a smart thing to do. She really just wants to prolong this up until the election. It's the same thing. We just went through this, which is why it's no wonder that CNN is going to a net 90 billing. I mean, all these guys, you can't keep pushing this on people. It's like the Malaysian airplane that went down. People get tired of it, even of this. But Kimmel called her in, and she said some interesting things.
Let me just say this immodestly.
Okay. Immodestly. So she's going to boast about herself in a way it's like giving yourself almost the highest credentials in the country. It was odd.
Let me just say this immodestly. I probably have a better idea as to what the president has to be held accountable for than anyone.
Have you read the Mueller report?
Yes, I have. The
blacked out parts?
No.
Oh, yeah.
We're calling for that. They would show it to me. But I said, why? I'm not going to let you show it to me unless you show it to the whole country.
Oh, interesting. I would want to see it.
Now, you also see how uninformed Kimmel is. He doesn't even know if the way he's speaking, I don't even know if he knows that there is a report that has been published. He's like, it's not there. Oh, I'd like to see it. But you can read the whole thing except for 5 blackouts.
Will they show it to me?
The only person who knows better than I why this president is not above the law, why this president must be held accountable. The only person who knows better than I do is the President of the United States. He knows.
Wow, Nancy, she knows. No one knows better than her, except the perpetrator himself. So Nancy's putting herself right up there. No one knows better. You have to go through me. I know what's right for the country. I know what's right for the party. And I also know what's right for young people in poor neighborhoods.
He knows what his violations have been.
I don't think he even knows. I don't think he...
Well, he may not care, but I think he knows.
Yeah, I think sometimes they do things and they go, oh, that's not allowed, and then they kind of go back and try to figure out what it was and how they can keep it quiet.
Yeah, and you know what really bugs me about that? Because when you see what they say, oh, I didn't know it was wrong to talk to Russians about this. I didn't know. I said, how do you explain that to kids in the hood when they're approached by law enforcement and they say, well, I didn't realize that.
All right, let me just get this right. Nancy's talking about kids in the hood. How do you explain this to kids in the hood? Well, if you could find the hood, Miss Pelosi, that might be a good start. Kids in the hood.
Talk to Russians about this. I didn't know. I said, how do you explain that to kids in the hood when
kids in the hood be like, who this?
They're approached by law enforcement and they said, well, I didn't realize that I was supposed to do this or that. Well, you're supposed to know. But these very wealthy people.
Isn't that racist? I'm sorry. I can't get past it. I can't get past her saying, how do you explain this to kids in the hood? I can't get past it. Isn't that racist? Is there a hood that can she point to the hood and maybe we should do something about the hood? It bothered me.
Yeah,
it's obvious.
Well, I can see that it did bother you. I mean, it's bothersome. But Nancy's just like she's that's almost. I would say she pulled a. I would almost want to say she pulled a Trump. But no, she pulled kind of like a Dan Quayle.
Ooh, yeah, it was close to a Quayle, wasn't it? Yes, I agree.
Just kind of a gaffe of gaffes.
Well, there'll be no impeachment.
Gaff.
There'll be no impeachment, just a lot of noise and a lot of wasted cycles. And I think it's quite a shame because there's so much else going on in the world, which we can discuss, and we shall do that. But first, allow me to thank you for your courage and say in the morning to you, the man who put the C in the Champions League, John C. Dvorak.
In the morning to you, Mr. Adam Curry. In the morning, all ships at sea, feet on the ground, boots in the air, subs in the water, and all the dames and knights out there.
In the morning to our trolls in the troll room, who have been trolling today. Some real trolls, but also some helpful trolls. NoAgendaStream.com. I wanted to mention something about the stream, NoAgendaStream.com, where you can go, you log into that page, and you can get into the chat room. That's where it's where it says chat probably, but it's really where the trolls are. But you can also listen to the stream. And this is 24/7, and there's a lot of live shows. I was listening yesterday. It was really cool. It went from Void Zero, who was doing all kinds of interesting music, and then all of a sudden, our good buddy Rhino the Bearded popped back on with this 00 countdown, which it's fun to listen to. It's really, there's just so much interesting variety of stuff that you should check it out. And certainly on both Thursdays when we do the show, on Sundays and Thursdays, NoAgendaStream.com. And it's good to have everybody there in the troll room this morning. Also in the morning, too, I believe this is Sir Andrew Gardner, who brought us the artwork for episode 1142. We titled that Cornageddon. And this was Bob Mueller as Moses with the tablets. It wasn't the best Photoshop job, but it was the right intent. It had all the right elements, made us chuckle, and therefore bestowed with the honor of representing us in podcatch apps all across Gitmo Nation, where this new image popped up, and we certainly appreciate it. And all of the work our artists do. NoAgendaArtGenerator.com. You too can participate and win fame and fortune by having your artwork chosen. Thank you very much to all of our artists. Now, executive producers, associate executive producers, our value for value model. Who do we have to thank today, John?
Oh, first of all, I want to mention I did use Mike Riley's piece for the newsletter.
Which one was that?
It was a really nice evergreen piece that I thought was just dynamite. It was just the art, more or less.
Mm-hmm.
It's hard to describe. But something I can describe is executive producer Christopher Massey, who came in with $400. He's a top guy for today's show, 1143. And he says, hello, John and Adam. I'm hopeful to get this donation letter registered in time for the Sunday, June 2nd show.
Yeah, you did.
This momentous day is when we will be celebrating the high school graduation of my first human resource. But first, a de-douching is in order.
You've been de-douched.
First donation, I started listening to the show about 2 years ago after I got hit in the mouth by a friend. I listened only sporadically as I found it hard to find the time to devote the requisite amount of hours each week, 5, to the amount of the requisite amount of content you provide. Slowly, however, I found the time to listen more regularly and ultimately later hit my son in the mouth as well. The recent deconstruction of the Russia-Trump carnival has been tremendous, and although I was really doubting Adam's theory about Mueller being a cover-up guy at first, I've come around to at least accept that it's a strong possibility.
Okay.
My son and I have spent a lot of time on the road. We are frequently traveling for his athletic tournaments, showcases, and the like. It's been a tradition for us to throw on no agenda for our long drives, and we always find something to trigger a conversation, either right then or later on. He is now a regular listener as well, but he's leaving our nest soon in order to play sports at even a higher level prior to going to college. And I know we will both continue. What does he do? What kind of sports does he play? I'd like to know.
Yeah.
Ask politely to split this donation into half for me and my son. You do the bookkeeping. That's an easy thing to do. I'd love some of our favorite jingles. Goat karma for his next year. That's true because I say it to him all the time now.
Yeah.
Which is a real problem in most families.
We have the issue here as well. Yeah.
It's true.
And who?
And a full L Sharpton, resist we much.
That's true.
But resist we much. We must and we will much about that be committed.
You've got karma.
All right, Chris. Yeah, let us know what kind of sport your son does.
So Jeffrey Steckroth, parts unknown, 393.93. What a strange time to be alive. Does this many dollars make you play the No Agenda anthem? Then he says, oh, dear, I'm hammered.
Sure it does.
Please rise for your Gitmo
We don't play it often enough.
Anthem.
And you may sing along.
In the morning, Gitmo Nation, we are all charged up to be human resources and service in all lands and all ships at sea. From the east to west, down under to the lowlands and beyond. We are happy and distracted slaves. Hear our Gitmo Nation song.
You've got karma.
Well, there you go. Thank you for requesting that with a very short note, Sir Jeffrey. Beautiful. Love doing that. The Gitmo Nation National Anthem.
Joseph Lisley, you think? L-I-S-S-L-E.
Or Liesel?
In New York.
Maybe Liesel? Lisley could be.
Liesel could be Liesel. Mm-hmm. But I think Lisley would make sense to me. 333.42. I'm a douchebag no more. He didn't ask for a de-douching, but he should be given one.
We'll give him one. Sure, absolutely.
You've been de-douched.
I've been listening enthusiastically for 2 years now since my smoking hot wife hit me in the mouth, but this is my first donation, another first-timer.
Yes, very good.
Goat karma for our brand-new human resource, the world, you two, and your fine work.
Well, thank you very much. Here's the goat for you.
You've got karma.
And your brand-new human resource. Do tell more.
Mike Harrington, Sir Mike Harrington to most people. Grand Canyon, Arizona, 333.33. It's got to be a great place to visit, the little town. First, I wish to congratulate Adam on his recent marriage. I wish you and Tina all the best. Because I have not donated since last October, I request a de-douching.
You got it.
You've been de-douched.
A lot of douching going on today. It's nice.
Recently accepted a permanent position at the National Park Service in Grand Canyon doing the compost thing. And in honor of show 1117, composting people, I humbly request that my knighthood title be reverted. He has another title. To Sir Compost Ranger.
Okay. Well, we'll put that in today's credits and put that right
I think it's on there. I would rather deal with the vertical and environmental challenges of Grand Canyon compared to the grizzly bears at Glacial National Park, where I worked last summer. If anyone out there wishes to visit Grand Canyon, please stay away from the edge.
Stop with the selfies, ladies.
The shows have been phenomenal as of late, and I especially appreciate the attention given to topics no one else will cover. No agenda certainly helps to keep me sane and is essential to my well-being. As I like to hike around the canyon during my job, I cannot tell you how many hikers I've passed on the trail who look at me strangely as I burst out in laughter while listening to the download of the show. Whenever anyone asks why I'm laughing, I tell them I'm reacting to my podcast, and that they invariably presume I'm listening to some douchey and elitist TED Talk.
In fact, we should make a separate feed for people who just want to listen to No Agenda covertly and have, and we'll call it TED Talk, but we'll misspell something,
TED Talk.
TED Talk, T-O-K, T-O-C-K, TED Talk. We'll have like TED logos, and so people, can feel safe listening to our show.
Little do they know I'm listening to the best podcast in the universe. Please keep up the good work and know that you two both are very appreciated. I request jobs karma for all and a good old Reverend Al. Thank you for your courage.
He's getting lunch at Chipotle. The tortoise in the race. Kim Kardashian, Sigourney Weaver, Russia. R-E-S-P-I-C-T. They're all jitty with it. R-E-S-P-I-C-T. There's no real conflict. Resist. We must. Resist. We must. We must. And we will much about that. Be committed.
Jobs, 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 and jobs. Let's vote for jobs.
You've got karma.
All right.
Every time I hear that, I think to myself, I'm pretty sure that Reverend Al pronounces GIF like that as opposed to GIF. And that's why he said jitty.
Yeah. Well, maybe. If we ever encounter him, that will be the number one question.
If anyone meets the guy, ask him how he's pronounced. Show him the word. I'll write it down on a piece of paper.
Don't say it. Just how do you pronounce this word?
How do you pronounce this word? Don't say it. Just how do you pronounce it?
And you think he'll say jitty?
Bob Welsh is next on the list as associate executive producer, 26252. Thanks, Adam and John. Blank blank. We're man and woman overboard. Bob and Belisa. Okay, pronounced like Melissa, but with a B. Coming back to the fray, we needed de-douching from many years back.
Okay, let's de-douche then.
You've been de-douched.
Here's a contribution to further the work for the Adam Curry School of Dancing for Seniors.
Woo!
And for the upcoming John C. Dvorak cookbook for fake meat and farmed salmon. Ha! It's a beautiful birthday on June 21st. We'd like to get a goat scream, but that's true, a squirrel, and maybe Hot Pocket so you can dredge it up. Congrats, Adam, on your recent wedding, Bob and Belissa.
All right, and we'll throw some karma in there for you as well.
Squirrel!
Hot Pockets!
Oh, wait. Let me do that again. I missed up the sequence. I can do that better. Gosh darn it.
That's true.
Squirrel!
Hot Pockets!
Yeah.
You've got karma.
Tight. Nicholas Robinson in Somerville, Massachusetts. Nuts. 20102. I humbly request some moving karma as I transition away from living in apartments and into my first house. Thank you for your courage and keep up the good work.
Well,
Regards, sir.
Yeah, congratulations, congratulations, Nicholas, on the new house. Here's your moving karma as requested.
You've got karma.
Love hearing that. Very good.
Eric Roosboom.
Roosboom.
Krimpen aan de Lek.
Krimpen, close. Roosboom, Krimpen aan de Lek. Very good.
Roosboom. He's in the Netherlands. You can tell because
of your
my Netherlands voice.
Outstanding accent, yes.
$200.
Netherlands voice.
Hi, TM, John and Adam. After years of donating $5 per month, I'm getting closer to being knighted. This donation is a giant leap to this goal and a contribution to the best podcast in the universe. Monday the 3rd, it'll be celebrating my 50th birthday the old-fashioned Dutch way.
we know how that works. Hey, come on, everybody. Let's go.
Complete with Dutch birthday circle, listening to each other's boring stories and opinions. I don't think people have heard this for at least a number of years.
Yes, so the Dutch birthday experience has multiple facets. The main way it works is you go over, and this may have changed throughout the past 20 years that I haven't really actively been living there. But
there's no evidence of this having changed.
There's no evidence of it having changed. You go over to the person's house, and everything's decorated. They have a chair. The Dutch are nuts about birthdays. Their chair will be decorated with balloons and all kinds of stuff from the early morning on, by the way. You get up in the morning, your chair is already decked out. Your presents are there, and it's very festive. All the family and the friends come. It's the same people you saw last week at someone else's birthday party. And then they have all the chairs in a circle in the living room, and we're all drinking and we're chatting and we talk about things like, our morning wood, bad breath, your wife's bad breath. And it's the same stories and everyone kind of does it. The kicker, though, is when you go to the bathroom in a Dutch home, there will be a calendar on the wall, seat height for men and women. Women see the calendar more often. And the calendar is a birthday calendar. And you can see, because of course you're at the person's house, you say, oh, it's their birthday here today. You can put your own on, and you can also look ahead and see where the next circle will be. It's a wonderful cultural experience that I recommend to everybody only once.
It sounds dreadful.
No, it's really quite okay. It's really nice of the way the Dutch. I like the birthday calendar. I still think it's a great promotional item that
It's a very funny idea. They should put some no agenda propaganda in there.
Yeah, well, we should have
get a rubber stamp.
Here we go.
A pocket rubber stamp that says No Agenda Show, the best podcast in the universe, www.noagendashow.com. Rubber stamp, pocket type, the kind of you can put in your pocket, carry around. Stamp it on everything.
That doesn't sound like it'll be very beneficial to the show.
Oh,
somehow.
yeah.
No, I don't think so.
He would like to request a goat karma, Dr. Kiki and science and an F cancer. And he says, de groten, is that what it's?
De groeten. Groeten.
Krimpen aan de Lek. Yeah, that's where he's from.
You nailed it.
Shut up already. It's science.
You've got karma.
And that wraps up our executive producer list and associate executive producer list for show 1143. I want to thank all these folks for helping keeping the show alive.
Yes, it is highly appreciated, particularly seeing everyone coming in with de-douching since they haven't been around for a while. It's nice to see that. Nice to know that people aren't overboard. Because there's really no other way we know. There's no way to check statistics. We don't know really how many people are listening. We don't care because we don't have to tell any advertisers. All we want is for you to be happy, for us to be happy, and to be able to pay the rent. And thank you to everyone who donated under the executive and associate executive producership level. We'll be thanking you coming up in the second segment. And these are, of course, very valuable titles. They are real production credits. You can use them anywhere credits are accepted. If someone calls you on it, questions it, we'll be happy to hop on the phone and vouch for you. And remember, another show coming up on Thursday. You can support us at
Dvorak.org/NA.
You've got it all. You know how the Dutch birthdays work. Go out there, propagate our formula.
Our formula is this. We go out, we hit people in the mouth.
We believe in science.
Kind of like like that Liz drop you gave me. That kind of works everywhere. It's a good one.
I think you can drop it anywhere.
Yeah.
We were talking about impeachment a little while ago. I did have one clip that I wanted to sneak in.
Mm-hmm.
This was on MSNBC. This is the dumbest thing I've ever heard. And, of course, most people weren't too impressed. But this is Donnie Deutsch.
Wait, let me just – this is how it works in the Curry household, which I can say now. Donnie Deutsch will be on or something. I watch MSNBC a lot when I'm here during the day. And Mrs. Curry will say, "Isn't that Donnie Deutsch an advertising guy? What is he doing?" With that exact voice, by the way.
Donnie Deutsch. Well, I'm glad you're getting a voice for your spouse.
I know. I'm getting.
I've heard her talk. She doesn't sound anything like that.
She sure doesn't.
Bull crap.
It's a lie. It's not true.
It's a lie. So Donnie Deutsch comes on, and he is a notorious. I don't know how he got this way. A lot of people they're beyond the pale when it comes to Trump hate.
Yeah,
and he's one of them. And it has to stem back from the guy. Trump has a insulting character most often. And I think in his years of being in New York and running into people in events.
Well, being in New York, everyone's run into Donnie Deutsch back in his ad days. Everyone knows him.
Yeah, so I think Trump ran into him and insulted him. Yeah. So he's still pissed about it. Now, here's what his thinking is about impeachment. And this is probably an interesting idea, but this is a little too transparent. I don't think it would work, and I think it would be condemned. But here's what he's going to say.
Night Politics on MSNBC, Donnie Deutsch. So, Donnie, what do you make of this argument? This is the political argument versus the base argument, and you want the word impeachment out of the conversation. Explain that.
I want to rebrand the fight. You have to fight. The Democrats have to fight to the Rev's point. But you don't want to fight that you're going to lose. You're going to lose an impeachment fight for two reasons. Because Donald Trump gets to say, they're coming to take me away, they're going to take your president, and it's not going to go anywhere in the Senate. So you do look like sore losers, and you're setting up a losing fight. Does that mean you fight? Don't fight? No. You rebrand the fight. Step away from impeachment and change it to the Trump criminal investigations. Already brand him a criminal. You say Robert Mueller basically said he obstructed justice. We know that. That was a criminal activity. He just couldn't indict because of the guidelines. We know he's an unindicted co-conspirator with the Southern District. We know we're going to be looking at his taxes, his philanthropies. You, Nancy Pelosi, you, Jerry Nadler, you, Adam Schiff, you, Elijah Cummings, start and initiate the Trump criminal investigations. Impeachment may be part of it. Brand him a criminal already. You already had an AG that has gone on a branding exercise. The head of the judicial system went on a branding exercise successfully. The Congress needs to rebrand impeachment the Trump criminal investigations. Have him saying, "I'm not a criminal." That is the simple winning fight. Rebrand it. Impeachment is not the right word for you.
Rebrand it. Talking like an ad guy.
Brother.
Let's rebrand it, brother. So what exactly does he want? Does he mean by that?
He wants to pivot. He wants to pivot.
Yeah. All right. Pivot to what?
I don't know what he wants. This is stupid. It's just like, let's rebrand and start. This is not going to work. And it's a bad idea. In fact, I don't know. It seems to me all this is turning out, and he says the Democrats have to fight. They have to fight. Yeah, they have to fight when the elections come around. To spend 3 years while there's a president you don't like the guy. He's in office. You don't like him. So all you're going to do is fight for 3 years and maybe 4 years, do nothing. Elizabeth Warren can do that, with her hands behind her back.
What else would this guy do? He's got nothing better to do.
Who, Donnie Deutsch?
Yeah.
I don't know why he doesn't go back to his old business or something. He's not an interesting character, but okay.
Well, look, Donnie Deutsch, just to give you an idea, if you haven't seen
just like saying Donnie Deutsch. It's a pretty nice name.
Reminds me.
Donnie Deutsch.
Yeah, he reminds me of Larry Coppold, who you don't know, I don't think. Anyone in the ad business will remember Larry Coppold. And he's one of these guys who either winds up being the creative director or the CEO or like president. That was always my favorite title. I always want to be the president of some organization and co-founder, because I co-founded it, and so I'm cool, but I'm president, so I have no responsibility. It's like I don't have a C title, do whatever you want. He's the president of stuff. And he's the guy who will go into the client like Oracle and explain his vision for rebranding their database product. That's what he does or used to do. And I see children from all over the world, and I see how Oracle is making the database bring joy to the children. And everyone goes, oh, yeah, Donnie, yeah, he's a legend. That's the kind of guy he is.
Yeah.
Well, I figured it out. John.
They mocked him.
Yeah. I'm going to move away from politics for a moment.
Good.
I figured it out. And now I really figured it out. And it was something we could have known. Tucker Carlson had a guy on this past week, and this guy's name is Luis Elizondo, and he is billed as former military intel officer, and I'm quoting the lower third verbatim. Former military intel officer. Sounds impressive, very impressive. And when I heard this interview about the Tic Tacs, the flying Tic Tacs, the flying saucers, all these Air Force pilots, military pilots coming out and being very open and not having an issue at all about talking about these very strange stuff. I mean, are they among us? Are the aliens here? Are they just flying around? I mean, it's flustering. So bring in the expert, the former military intel officer, Luis.
Look, we have the most sophisticated weapon systems right now on the face of the planet, and we can identify not only a 737 or a MiG-25 or a F-22, we can tell you even what airline it is, and the difference between the models of aircraft within that type of aircraft. So I think it's highly unlikely that a foreign adversary was successful in developing something like this.
So let me ask you one last question. Do you believe, based on your decade of serving in the U.S. government on this question, that the U.S. government has in its possession any material from one of these aircrafts?
I do, yes.
Do you think the U.S. government has debris from a UFO in its possession right now?
Unfortunately, Tucker, I really have to be careful of my NDA. I really can't go into a lot of more detail than that.
Okay.
But simply put, yes.
Bullshit. Okay, let's just review that last minute there. Oh, Tucker, I really can't tell you too much. It will break my NDA. Listen to this guy.
You think the U.S. government has debris from a UFO in its possession right now?
Unfortunately, Tucker, I really have to be careful of my NDA. I really can't go into...
Okay, so the question is, do you think the U.S. government has debris from an alien spacecraft? Tucker, I really can't... It's my NDA. It's my NDA.
A lot of more detail in that. But simply put, yes.
Yes, simply. Okay, so I guess I can break my... This guy is full of shit, so I go look him up. Luis Elizondo, former employee of the Office of the Undersecretary of Defense for Intelligence. Do we even know what that is? He currently serves as Director of Global Security and Special Programs to the STARS Academy of Arts and Science. Oh, and you go to their website, which is very cool. It's to thestarsacademy.com, and there's a video we can listen to and watch.
Have you ever had the desire to look outward, to the edge of what is known and unknown? We have the chance to do something revolutionary, something that I think has never been attempted before. What if I told you I found a group of like-minded people who held senior positions in the U.S. government, from the CIA to the Department of Defense to the most advanced aerospace engineering groups within our national security establishment, people who have life skills in collecting and decoding elusive information, and they all wanted to do something ambitious, something that could help change the conversation about who we are through an unparalleled search for answers that can propel humanity forward. Today, we are presenting you with To the Stars Academy of Arts and Science, a public benefit corporation, the first transparent partnership of its kind between the fields of aerospace engineering, science, and cinematic entertainment, a collaboration with global citizens to explore the outer edges of conventional thinking, targeting the mysteries of the universe and using them to help unify mankind.
So the video is much longer, but let's just review that. As you heard him say, it's science, technology, military, and cinematic entertainment.
Yeah, movie making.
Cinematic entertainment. Let's see what they're doing over here. as a public benefit corporation, which is just profit, is a for-profit company. Our goal is to inspire, explore, and apply discoveries in a way that can advance human knowledge and have a profound impact on the future of humanity. We accomplish our efforts through a dynamic collaboration between 3 divisions in science, aerospace, and entertainment. So if you go take a look at their partners, which we have down here, and their partners are History Channel, because it seems these guys have just produced the History Channel, the latest UFO series.
Ancient aliens.
But there's also one other little thing happening right now.
You really think a black suit is going to solve all your problems? No, but looks damn good on you.
Oh, snap! Oh, snap! Oh, snap! Oh, snap!
1, 2, 3, 4. Are a rumor. Recognizable only as deja vu and dismissed just as quickly. Time to prove yourself, Agent M. We may have a problem in London.
Welcome to MIB.
Well, then I'll lose it!
You will be with Agent H, one of the best ever to wear this suit. We are the Men in Black.
Looks like the tables have turned.
That's right, out in theaters just now, just in time for all the hype. Men in Black International. Yes, another massive box office bonanza money-making movie with some advice and some consulting from the ToTheStarsAcademy.com. This whole thing has been about a movie promotion from the get-go, and we missed it.
Well, I don't think we missed it.
We didn't bring it up.
I don't think that's it either. I mean, this whole Tucker Carlson thing, was it even promoted on there?
What,
the guy comes on, he does a crap job of promoting his
Well, no, back up. All of this, let's go back to these stupid Tic Tac videos. That's all in promotion of the movie. It's not just this guy.
Okay.
The whole thing has been a setup, like we always say.
This is something I think some producers have noticed about us. We used to more thematically do this, point out that just whatever's being publicized and all over the news is just a prelude to some crappy movie. And we have not really made a point of doing that as much as we used to 5 years ago or 6 years ago.
Right.
And I think that's valid.
I think this is what it's all about, particularly when I see this guy showing up everywhere.
He's talking about the little blips.
And he was.
And I have an NDA, but yeah.
But yeah. And let's see, what does it show here? Luis Elizondo reveals details about Pentagon's hidden UFO program in stunning New York Times front page expose. So he
New York Times gave native ad.
Yes, exactly. The whole thing is one big native ad.
Yeah, for the movie.
Yeah.
Is that a reboot movie or is it a new extension?
It's not with Will Smith. It has new young hip actors, and it also has what's his face?
As opposed to Will Smith.
Yeah. What's his name? The Liam Neeson.
Liam Neeson, did his son get kidnapped again? What's the deal?
No, he's playing the Tommy Lee Jones, kind of like the older guy showing the younger kid the ropes. That's the format of the movie. But I can't tell you, John, because I don't want to break my NDA. So
yeah, you don't want to be a spoiler.
Can't tell you too much about the movie. So there it is, everybody. Even I was confused. I thought, well, maybe it's about the next phony space launch.
It is more of a mea culpa than it is an actual. Okay, that's interesting. I think you're right. Somehow we've missed out on the. We don't do this enough. I think somebody said to us, and we should be more alert.
Yes,
and bull crap movie, yes. The Hollywood
influence. And as you know,
we believe in science.
So just want to make sure that we're on the up and up. Yeah, of course we do.
I have an interesting, and this is something that normally we wouldn't cover. Although I have a thesis that some of these events, that many of them which could be described as false flags. I think there's good reason for it because the script issues. I have a couple of clips on the Virginia Beach gunman. This is the big story that broke on Friday, I think.
Yeah.
Some guy gunning just from across the streets, just shooting people randomly like a maniac.
But he worked there, no?
Yeah, and he was a worker. Most of this is covered in this NBC report. Let's start with part 1.
Shot fired.
Witnesses said a man was firing at the Public Works building next to City Hall, part of a sprawling downtown city government complex.
Shooter on second floor. Detectives coming through the garage Sally Port.
As first responders flooded in and city employees ran out, police stormed the building and found what they said was a single gunman who was subdued and taken into custody.
The suspect entered Building 2. He's a longtime employee of public utilities, and he immediately began to indiscriminately fire upon all the victims.
No.
What?
Does it end there?
Yeah, 32-second clip. That's all I got here.
Oh, my God.
This is the karma you get for saying my stuff don't sound good.
Yeah, I don't think so. But let's go to the Virginia. Okay, I still have, luckily I saved part of it. Virginia Beach gunman 2. This is the final of this.
At least 6 people were rushed to local hospitals. One man who was inside saw a shooting victim on a flight of stairs.
She could have been shot in the chest. She could have been shot in the head. Who knows? We don't know if she was on the stairway coming up or going down, but she was on the stairway.
City workers in nearby buildings were warned to stay away.
We heard shooting, but we didn't think it was that close, like in proximity of the building.
This is the most devastating day in the history of Virginia Beach. The people involved are our friends, co-workers, neighbors, colleagues.
As police went room to room to make certain it was over, city workers waited for word on their fellow employees, still in shock at a deadly turn to the final hour of the work week.
And Pete joins us again. What an awful turn of events. What more do we know about that firefight with the suspect, Pete?
Well, police say that one of the shooting victims was a police officer, but they say his life was spared by his bulletproof vest. They're not saying anything tonight about the motive of the gunman who was killed in the shootout with police, Kate.
All right, Pete, thank you.
Okay.
Well, here's what was left out of the first clip, which is as they continued on that, is part 3.
Found what they said was a single gunman who was subdued and taken into custody.
Yeah.
You didn't. This is what I was hoping for. You didn't notice the difference?
Well, the different. I'm a little confused now. The difference between 2 and 3, you mean?
Yeah.
Right, let me listen to it again. Don't say anything.
At least 6 people were rushed to local hospitals. One man who was inside saw a shooting victim on a flight of stairs.
She could have been shot in the chest. She could have been shot in the head. Who knows? We don't know if she was on the stairway coming up or going down, but she was on the stairway.
City workers in nearby buildings were warned to stay away.
We heard shooting, but we didn't think it was...
Wait a minute, didn't they kill the guy? Wasn't he one of the victims? Isn't that what? Well, I'll listen now. No, that's probably what it is.
That close, like in proximity of the building.
This is the most devastating day in the history of Virginia Beach. The people involved are our friends, co-workers, neighbors, colleagues.
As police went room to room to make certain it was over, city workers waited for word on their fellow employees, still in shock at a deadly turn to the final hour of the work week.
And Pete joins us again. What an awful turn of events. What more do we know about that firefight with the suspect, Pete?
Well, police say that one of the shooting victims was a police officer, but they say his life was spared by his bulletproof vest. They're not saying anything tonight about the motive of the gunman who was killed in the shootout with police, Kate.
Okay. Yeah, there we go. And then this clip
found what they said was a single gunman who was subdued and taken into custody.
Yeah. And we also...
This, by the way, I want to say a couple of things. This was in this exact same report.
That's crazy.
He said, and it's the same reporter, Pete, saying that he was taken into custody in one hand and he was shot and killed in the other. And you wonder why people think this. And then you listen to the mayor talking like a robot. And there was a woman there that was talking like a robot. You wonder why people get upset with the news media.
Yeah.
This just looks like some bull crap. Was he shot or was he taken into custody?
Eventually, the shooting stopped and police were able to confront Craddock in an office. They broke down the door and engaged him with fire. When the shooter was subdued, 36 minutes after the first call to police went out, officers attempted to render aid to save Craddock's life. He died on the way to a nearby hospital. That's the story I have from Wappo.
That would be the way you'd modify this mess.
And the guy's name, does he have 3 names? Do we have a first, middle, and last name? No. Dwayne, is that his first name? Dwayne? Dewayne?
Yeah, Dwayne is a name.
As in Dwayne. Not Dwayne, but Dwayne.
It's often in the black community when they use the name Dwayne.
Oh,
it's pronounced Dwayne.
No, the shooter was black.
Not Dwayne.
The shooter was black. It's Dwayne.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
And it's Dwayne.
Well, yeah. It's when I'm reading it, it's like Dwayne, but yeah, it's Dwayne. Of course.
No, it's not Dwayne. I'm sure it's not pronounced Dwayne. The black community has the name Dwayne, and it's pronounced Dwayne.
Could you please tell me where I find this community that you speak of?
Yeah. I'm living right next to it. It's in Oakland, and I know a lot of people, and they use the word Dwayne, and the word Dwayne is very common around here.
I went to school with a Dwayne in West Virginia.
You pronounced it Dwayne?
Dwayne, yes.
He was cowed by you whiteys.
I was the white shadow. What are you talking about? It was me and all the black guys. Tyree, Dwayne, Nelson. Come on. But you may be right.
Yeah, it could be either one, but the point is that taken into custody is not the same.
It's not the same
as being taken to the hospital and dropping dead.
Yeah. So the way you set that up is saying, well, this looks phony baloney because ... But then what would the reason be? What agenda needs to be moved forward other than it's not just crazy white guys who do mass shootings?
Well, I have no idea. All I know is it was a botch in terms of the presentation.
Yeah.
You can't present a story like this and say the guy was taken. No. He was, talked down and taken into custody, and then at the end saying he was shot and killed. It's just, my point is that you can see why people get suspicious when you see this report by the same reporter, and he's botching the story as you go along. This is network. These guys get paid a lot of money. Yeah. This is not like local news where they're getting fed all kinds of different things and they have to piece it together because it's maybe native advertising. We don't know.
Right.
But this is like the big time. And it's just, you hear this stuff and you just befuddling. At least I was confused by it.
Yeah. I honestly, I kind of tuned out from it.
That's what happens all the time, which is why
That's why we got to stay on it. Yeah, we got to stay. No, you're right. We got to stay on these things.
Because the idea is you get the blows by and then you just fall asleep. It's very somnambulistic. This type of reporting is, and then you have these boring guys. They got a microphone in somebody's mouth going ba da ba da ba da. It just puts you to sleep. Of course it does.
Well, what I saw as the news broke was, there you go, white horrible. I'm sure it's another crazy white guy, Republican, MAGA. That's what you saw on the social media. And then it became apparent that this man is from, as you would say, the black community. And now, and I also, just in fleeting, I remember hearing someone say, I'm only going to mention his name once, never again. And that's always a red flag to me. Like, you're never going to mention his name again. Okay. But it seems like people are dead, John, so I don't know I don't know.
I'm not saying it's a false flag, but it seems to be scripted in some funny way.
Possible. Well,
and I don't know, and I agree. I don't know what the point of it would be.
How much does Sarah Sanders make? Speaking of making a lot of money, she's got to be up in the $184,000 range. Isn't that kind of the top scale for someone of her stature in presidential PR?
I would guess it would be something like that.
Well, she should give some of that back.
The president's number one responsibility is to protect Americans.
Bullshit.
Sarah, it is to defend and uphold and protect the Constitution of the United States. That is his oath. Yes, protecting the citizens falls under that, but that is not the oath, and you should know better. Shame on you. Shame.
Yeah, this will be when this show is ended in 35 years. That will still be a running gag.
35 years? Are you sure?
So now I have talking about. I consider this a 9-second clip. This is what I consider MSNBC's whole problem rolled up into a kind of just a nut. This is the sick analysis of the situation by Lawrence O'Donnell.
2019. Most Americans say they definitely will not vote for Donald Trump for re-election. Most Americans disapprove of President Trump in his job performance and always have.
So,
especially during that election thing.
Yeah. So why are the Democrats? Why are they even concerned over at MSNBC about the 2020 elections when most Americans will not vote for him? Period.
Yeah.
And they don't like him.
Yeah.
So what's the problem? Just get to 2020, put your person in, whoever it is, and they'll obviously kick his ass. Right?
Yeah, but the problem is they don't have that someone. They have no one. They have no one to run. It
doesn't matter. Everyone hates Trump so much they can run anyone.
It's so insulting to watch this stuff. I know you must hate it too.
I don't watch it. I rarely watch it.
It's really hard to watch these days. And you want. So now he's going over to the UK. I guess he's doing a do-over of his royal visit. And he's probably going to go gloat in Theresa May's face. Told you that's not the way to do it.
Kagan!
Oh, she appears once again, Victoria Kagan Noodleman, interviewed on the BBC regarding Trump's United Kingdom trip.
Wait, stop. You're telling me that this woman who has been out of the scene for ever since Obama got done with, why is she being interviewed by anybody? Why aren't they interviewing you?
Well, I think when you hear this 49-second clip, it'll become very apparent because she says things that I never would.
Thank you very much for joining me. What does Trump need to get out of this visit?
I think he wants to demonstrate that he is a statesman. I think he's going to enjoy very much his time with the Queen. I think he considers his own dynasty somewhat royal, all of those kinds of things. And I hope that when he goes to Portsmouth and then goes on to Normandy, he can feel the importance of this very special relationship, and he will be imbued a bit with the challenge of maintaining this liberal world order that so many Americans and Brits gave their lives for.
Oh, this is where this drove me nuts. Oh yeah, this drove me nuts when I heard her say that. So he's there for D-Day.
What?
Oh,
Wait a minute. You're telling me that my father went in the Navy in World War II.
Both my grandfathers.
And everybody that we know was in World War II specifically
for the
to fight for the liberal New World Order.
The liberal world order. Yeah, they died. They died. They died for it. Some people
died for the liberal world order.
Let's listen again.
A bit with the challenge of maintaining this liberal world order that so many Americans and Brits gave their lives for.
It's unbelievable. My one grandfather landed Normandy Beach. The other one was South Pacific. For the liberal world order. Somehow I don't think that sounds historically correct, Miss.
The liberal world order.
Miss Noodleman.
Kagan!
Unbelievable. That's an insult, actually.
It's a huge insult.
That's an insult to the armed forces that fought in World War II.
Yeah. Yeah. Isn't that crazy?
They're very crazy, but that's the way you do. You do the Donnie Deutsch. You do a little rebranding. You change the words around a little bit.
Yeah, bada bing, bada boom, bada book.
So that Assange is the one who hacked a DNC computer somehow.
That's right. We died for the liberal world order. It's like, what's your question, slave?
I'm going to show my support by donating to No Agenda. Imagine all the people who could do that. Oh yeah, that'd be fab. Yeah, on No Agenda. In the morning.
Let's see what the liberal world order's giving us for contributions today. Starting with Baron Latican. Oh, Baron Latican, $100. Sir Chris Gray of the Isle of Wight, 8888. He's got a birthday of some sort coming up. It's his.
Yeah, the show day. That's right.
Devin Wood, 6190 in Elko, Nevada. He needs a de-douching.
Okie dokie.
You've been de-douched.
Putting some health karma at the end for people with Crohn's disease.
Yes.
Not good. Christopher Depp, Georgetown, New York, 6119. First-time donor. Another de-douche. This is the first-time donor.
Whoa.
You've been de-douched.
It's a first-time donor show.
Sir Daddy Cast, 6119. Which then, by the way, 6119 was the gimmick donation for this show, and we got 4 people that thought it was worthwhile.
Well, here's
no Marilyn Monroe send-offs.
I didn't understand the Marilyn Monroe send-off.
It was her birthday.
Oh.
And she'd be 93, if you can imagine. I thought it was funny, but nobody else.
Yeah, but whenever you open up about, on this day in history, and then, I can just, you're in Wikipedia, I'm like, what was it
I used
again?
Farmer's Almanac.
Oh, I'm sorry. The Farmer's Almanac.
Yeah.
I think you should have just focused on Marilyn Monroe. It's like too many things in there.
Maybe.
Okay.
It's when I'm panicked.
I can't, and I know you're not. You're telling the truth.
I'm panicked.
Crap,
I'm going,
panic.
oh my God, nobody's going to buy into this.
No one's
the
going to
last
support the show.
Gimmick that we had besides your wedding, which wasn't really a gimmick, but the last good one was the Fibonacci number. The best gimmicks, the best ideas for donation segments, I will say this for people who are reluctant to bring it up, it's when one of the producers comes up with some screwball idea that's so off the wall, like the Fibonacci number.
Yeah, that stuff usually works really well.
It usually works like a champ. I can kind of put the wordage around it and maybe sell it a little bit, but coming up with it from scratch, newsletter after newsletter is not.
Can I make a recommendation?
You can
to the newsletter department.
Yeah.
Why don't you tell people that if they appreciate the work, they should send some value for it?
I've done that.
It doesn't work?
It works about as well as the long essays I occasionally incorporate into that.
All right. All right.
I mean, if I put actual content in the newsletters, which I'm obliged to do by law.
It goes into spam.
It goes into spam.
Oh, my God. We have a promotional thing with content. Spam alert. All right. The Google say, send it to spam.
Yeah, that's exactly how it works. All right, so we have Sir Daddy Cast, 6119 for kind of commenting on the puppy eating the kitten picture that was in the newsletter. If you missed that, you missed out. Sir Joshua Thibodeau, 6119, haven't donated since my knighting. He needs a secondary de-douching.
You've been de-douched.
And he would like some human resource karma for his wife and himself. So we'll put that at the end, of course.
Yeah, so we have some, What was the other one I said we were going to do? I forgot. The Crohn's disease karma. Matthew Cole Perricone, or Perricone. That's how it's pronounced it. Matthew Cole Perricone, 6119. Pete Federici. Yeah.
He needs a jobs karma. Job offer on Monday. So, we'll roll that out for you.
Leo Coca, probably. Could be Cocha, but Coca, I think. 5143. Goes down fast.
He says something interesting here. Australian property bubble about to pop.
Stocking up on popcorn.
I guess he'll be sitting back, kicking back, relaxing, and watching. All right.
It must be short. James Scott, 51. Wants to congratulate you on your wedding.
Thank you.
He found an interesting clip. We'll look at that later. Obviously, can't do it now.
He does say you guys have been a godsend in a very rough year for me personally. Only wish I could donate more. Now, thank you. This whatever. It's whatever you can support us with is good, and I'm happy that we've been there for you this year.
Now, $50 donors, name and location, starting with Aichi Kitagawa over here in San Francisco, Michael Janowski, Esmeralda Gack, Cassidy Eastwood, Sir Eric VM, the Baron of the Valley, Jeremy Cartwright in Rockford, Illinois, Andrew Oxenham, who's I would expect to be in the UK, but he's not. He's in the United States. Bradley Ledden, and that's it. That's all we got. Very short list here, thanks to the fabulous promotions.
Well,
and as for doing it Marilyn Monroe only, she got nothing, so I probably wouldn't have done that well.
I said it was only a suggestion. I do not have,
nada.
I don't know how to run I run the production department. I don't run the newsletter department, editorial. What was nice to see is that we got a lot of people coming back requesting de-douching since they haven't donated in a quote-unquote while, but some of them a significant while. So, yeah, low today, but I'm also really pleased. I'm pleased to see that people are still here and they still benefit from the value we give them in the value for value system that we have created here together in our 11th season. I like saying this. Our 11th season now on the air. We're syndication times 2, baby. And I'd also like to express great gratitude to everyone who donated under $50. We cut that off there. That's so people can send donations anonymously. And also, we do have some of our programs, our subscription programs, which help. They do help a lot. So if you can sign up for one of those in addition to anything you want to send in value, in a one-off, it's highly appreciated. You can find out all about it at
Dvorak.org/NA.
Now, multiple karmas to take care of, so let's do all of them.
Jobs, 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 and jobs. Let's vote for jobs.
You've got karma.
It's a birthday.
Well, we got it. It's the 2nd of June, 2019, a brand new month, and we got a couple birthdays that we'll be celebrating. Bob Welsh says happy birthday to his wife, Bialisa, like Melissa with a B. No, Belissa. There you go. She celebrates her birthday today. Sir Chris Gray also celebrating his birthday today. Eric Rosenbaum will be 50 years old tomorrow, and Devin Wood celebrates his 19th on June 4th. Congratulations. Happy birthday from everybody here at the best podcast in the universe.
Come gather round, douchebag, producer and slave, as we all thank your brothers and sisters who gave, and some of them nights, some of them days,
for the titles
never changing.
Today, one title literally changes. That is Sir Mike Harrington. You heard him earlier, and he has changed his title to Sir Compost Ranger. And we welcome these title changes for whatever reason. It always makes propagating the formula that much better when you have a snappy name. Make sure to add it to your Twitter, Sir Compost Ranger. No nightings, but we do have a list of our meetups. Reminders that today, Sarasota, Florida, will be meeting up. People are tweeting out pictures of these meetups, and some of them are, there's smaller ones because it's just the first time in the location. Everybody seems to have a good time. It's. What was I thinking about this? Some comparison to. I was watching a flash mob the other day, you don't see them anymore. 2015, I think it was Australia, and it always makes me smile to see people who have rehearsed at home and don't know each other, but have participated in something, come together, and then it just all kind of flows, and they're all dancing and the coordinated moves, and it gives you a great feeling. Do you know what I mean? Is that weird what I'm saying?
Yeah, it is weird, but at the same time, I know what you mean, and it's different because after the flash mob, those people never talk to each other again. Most people who go no agenda meetups actually make friends, and a lot of them stay in contact for a long time. That's what happens in Michigan.
And I think that same moment, though, when they come together, it's like, oh, hey, we all kind of are open-minded, and we listen to the same show, we have different opinions, and it seems to work very well. And exactly as you said, people like to stay in contact afterwards and do repeat meetups. So today, Sarasota, Florida, June 6th, Seattle, 7th, Toronto, June 8th, Oklahoma City, Knoxville, Tennessee, June 9th. And here's what's cool. I think that Earl of Tennessee, Sir Patrick Coble, is at the Knoxville meetup on the 9th. Then he joins us on Wednesday the 12th in London for the meetup there.
Twins.
Could be. Shoot, when you look at that guy, it could be triplets. He's all over the world, Mr. Penetration Tester. Copenhagen.
Could be spy. Could be your handler, your new handler.
Well, he's
ex-military.
Well, let me tell you this. he's handling me very well with that Kentucky bourbon. I'll say anything you want, Earl. So we have the 15th of June.
That's through a chromatograph. Go on.
Copenhagen. Then we have the 4th of July, Seattle, Washington, once again. That'll be an interesting one. And maybe a lot of people, who knows, but we'll find out. Atlanta, Georgia, on July 13th. And you can find out locales. You can find out more information. Sign up yourself at noagendameetups.com. Please have a look at that. And I look forward to seeing everybody in London. It should be a lot of fun, depending on who can make it over.
So what's the date on this again? Let's give us some rundown.
The 12th, Wednesday, the 12th of June. So that's in...
So it's coming.
Yeah, it's in less than 2 weeks. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we're going...
Is it next Sunday, Father's Day?
I really don't know. Is it?
I think so.
It could be.
Or is the father? What's the chat room? Without me having to go to the computer, chat room should just put it up there right now.
You mean troll room? Yeah,
troll room.
So the trolls need to tell us when it may be. I mean, I see promotions for it. It's the third Sunday in
Thursday,
June.
so it'll be the Sunday after you get back.
No, because we're going to Portugal.
Okay.
We're finally taking a 4-day honeymoon. Woo! Living large. Uh-huh.
Okay.
All right. Well, hold on. I got some stuff.
I got a couple more things.
No. You can't be done. I gotta throw some stuff your way first. You were the one who reported on Lori Lightfoot, the new mayor of Chicago. Do you remember?
Right. Yeah. Vaguely.
In fact, you put the wrong picture of the wrong woman.
I used the wrong picture of the woman.
Newsletter. Yeah.
It's a picture of her at a distance, and it looked similar from 1,000 feet away. But I got slammed. I got butt slammed for doing that wrong picture.
Well, at first glance, I think we both are kind of like, oh, what is this woman going to do? She's going to run Chicago? Okay. Then I heard her talk, and this is on the Chicago Way podcast with, what's the guy's name? John Cass. It's a good show if you're from Chicago, which I'm not. And he asked her about the Chicago Way and what she was going to do. And I liked her answer. She may be extremely good for the city.
Talked about you define the Chicago Way. How do you define it?
Well, I think of the Chicago Way as this notion that you have to give to get. That it's understood that in order to actually get access to basic city resources and services, you got to go through this kabuki dance with aldermen, kiss the ring, make the donation, on and on, hire the kid, on and on and on. That's the old Chicago way. I think the new Chicago way that I'm trying to forge is one where if you're a resident and you're a taxpayer, you're entitled to great services everywhere.
What?
No matter where you live, no matter your zip code, no matter who you know, you don't have to go through these extra steps to be able to get access to basic city services. And I think this is a lesson from the Burke indictment, that city workers are actually able to do their jobs without worrying about political backlash because they haven't pleased the local fiefdom and the local alderman. That's the government that I aspire to. And I think we can get there. It's going to take time, but I think we can get there.
So I don't know much about Chicago politics, but I saw the series Boss at one point with John Goodman and all these aldermen and these council dudes and everything, and she's going to break that up. That seems like a pretty tall order.
Well, it's well established.
Mm-hmm.
That resistance would probably be quite high to it because people like it. Chicago is the Chicago way. I mean, the Chicago way, in a nutshell, is when you get pulled over for speeding, you hand over your driver's license in a little sealed thing. It's like not just a license bear, and in the back is $100 bill.
And that still works, huh?
I believe so.
I just flashed my PBA card from 1987. I found it the other day.
You were a professional bowler?
Yes, right. No, the Police Benevolent Association.
Oh, yeah, they would laugh. Unless there's 100, a hundo, you're not going to get very far in Chicago.
Oh, Curry. Wait, were you on MTV once? That's 2 hundos, bro. That's no good. So we'll go from one city to my 2 other favorite cities. Let's hop off that Armageddon cliff first. San Francisco homeless have a new gambit.
Yeah, passing by these things, if you did not know to look up, you probably wouldn't even notice that they were here. But neighbors tell us that this all started right around February when one of these tree houses went up, and then a couple months later, now we're up to 5 or 6 of them. Hello? Here in Fremont, ingenuity and desperation have brought us to this. Half a dozen tree houses nestled high up in the branches of a row of eucalyptus trees in an industrial park where they have been for months. Getting into the structures is no simple task. Some of them are 3 stories high. This one has a makeshift ladder, albeit with rungs sparsely attached. Climbing up is a lot like solving a puzzle. Once inside, you get a better look at the craftsmanship. Whoever did it likely has some experience at construction and access to power drills, cross beams, support beams underneath, and support straps above. Trash? There's a spot for that too. Neighbors tell us they use scrap wood from nearby discarded pallets. The result is remarkable. But it looks like they won't be here for long. Crews have spent the past few days trimming and cutting off the lower limbs, and they are closing in.
I think it's actually what people would benefit from if we had the right knowledge of trees and whatnot.
Yeah, there's your typical Fremont resident.
Yeah, Fremont. Well, let's start by mentioning Fremont is not San Francisco.
That's correct. I take that back.
There's less opportunity because there's not that many trees left in San Francisco because of the human excrement has got too much nitrogen in it.
I do love the treehouse idea, though.
Well, it's just the next step to Shantytown, which is where we're headed.
Well, that's my next clip. This is Los Angeles, and it was fun to see Dr. Drew Pinsky show up and talk about his fear for the city he lives in.
We have complete breakdown of the basic needs of civilization in Los Angeles right now. We have the 3 prongs of airborne disease. Tuberculosis is exploding. Rodent-borne. We are one of the only major cities in the country that does not have a rodent control program, and sanitation is broken down. We had a typhus outbreak last summer. We will have a typhus outbreak this summer. I'm hearing from experts that bubonic plague is likely. It's already here. We'll get onto the rat fleas. And then now finally we have this oral fecal route contamination, which is typhoid fever. 3 cases. 1 confirmed, probably 3. This is unbelievable. I can't believe I live in a city where this is not third world, Laura. This is medieval. Third world countries are insulted if they are accused of being like this. No city on earth tolerates this. The entire population is at risk. And God forbid if measles, this is a population that's suboptimally immunized. If measles gets in, I just have an image of myself on my knees in the gutter tending to people because this summer is likely to be a very profound problem. And there's a very bizarre thing going on where the government is somehow insisting that housing is the problem when in fact we have chronic mental illness, we have addiction, we have people who don't want to leave the streets. They literally won't take the housing if we give it to them, and that's the population that's vulnerable and it's going to get so ill this summer. It scares me for their well-being. Listen, Laura, I need your help. I want to pierce their shield of qualified immunity so we can go after them for reckless negligence. This is disgusting. It is reckless negligence, and we have to have a solution to this.
Bubonic plague.
Well, there seems to be some sort of the competition between Los Angeles and San Francisco never stops. It's at all levels.
they keep wanting to win, don't they?
And I would say that Los Angeles has an edge. They have they're more sprawly, so it's more like Fremont, actually, coincidentally, in terms of the way it is as a city. San Francisco is more centralized, more like an old-fashioned place. So it's just different. But yeah, I think LA is a disaster.
Well, California in general, in that regard, is a disaster. Well, that's because
the Democrats run the place, and this is the way they operate. They can't say no. Everybody's, oh God, you might insult the person. Don't do no. Let him. The drugs are okay.
Well, I think
let him shoot up. Yeah, I know he's always. No, don't shoot up the kid. No, okay. No, yeah, you can shoot yourself up. It's fine.
What Dr. Drew said is, I prescribe to that as I think we've talked about on the show, is these the governments in cities, the same in Austin. We need affordable housing, homelessness. No, you need to stop allowing people to beg for money everywhere and do drugs publicly in the out in the open. Stop that first. This is a lifestyle choice. It's not just homelessness or unaffordable housing. It is a complete lack of wanting to do it. This is their life. And if you're on drugs, your life looks pretty good when you get your whatever you need. Until it doesn't, then you go stand on the corner, get some money, rinse, repeat. But for some reason, we can't bring ourselves to look the facts in the face. I'm saying we here in Austin.
Yeah, because you elected a bunch of
douchebags. Totally.
Douchebag Democrats.
Yes.
No offense to the Democrats at large that listen to the show, but come on.
Well, the mayor.
When are you going to get a clue about this?
Mayor Adler. Well, you know what? That's the problem. People don't care. And it's the same that I saw in San Francisco. I didn't see it in L.A. as much when I was there, but San Francisco, I stepping over the same three people coming out of my apartment every single morning. I didn't like it at a certain point. I'm like, this is not okay. People they don't care anymore. They just don't care. They don't care. Do you really care, John? I mean, seriously, you care? You don't care.
I care. I'm a caring guy.
Yeah, but you don't care to do anything about it. You're not protesting up in arms.
At least we're doing this podcast. That's something I believe
it's
this
not
is a positive
much.
Force.
It's not much. You're trying to change.
Rebrand it. We're the public benefit podcasting show.
Take that to the bank.
Okay.
Public benefit podcasting.
You got it. Where the C stands for caring. John C. Dvorak.
Exactly. So Barr, William Barr was on the morning show.
Yeah, I'm glad you got some clips from this because he said a lot of different things, and my eyes are just glazing over because we know it's a sideshow. We know and
the questioner's antagonistic, and nobody on CBS likes Barr. But I got two clips. One of them is a little long, but the other one, which is shorter, is interesting. But let's play the long one, which is this is Barr on the show. He says a few things that are very straightforward. I admire this guy.
In an exclusive CBS News interview, Attorney General William Barr highlights why he opened an investigation into the origins of Russia investigation. Barr says there is evidence that makes him believe that senior government officials may have acted improperly to authorize surveillance of President Trump's 2016 campaign. And he says that led to the spying on the campaign.
Critics say Barr is being too loyal to the president. Jan Crawford is in Anchorage, Alaska, traveling with the Attorney General. Jan, how is Barr responding to complaints about his work?
Well, the Attorney General, he wouldn't really talk specifics about what he had seen that led him to open that investigation. But he said he is not swayed by criticism, and he won't back off doing what he thinks is right. You're only the second Attorney General in history who served twice. I think the first one was back in 1850.
Right.
I mean, you're an establishment figure in a way. You've had a long career in Washington, but you're working for a man who's not establishment. And some of his tweets about officials and the rule of law, how do you react when you see those? Are you on Twitter? Do you read his tweets?
No, I'm not on Twitter.
What?
Every once in a while a tweet is brought to my attention. But my experience with the president is we have a good professional working relationship. We talk to each other, and if he has something to say to me, I figure he'll tell me directly. I don't look to tweets I don't look at them as directives or as official communications with the department.
But when you came into this job, I mean, you had a good reputation on the right and on the left. Mm-hmm. You're now someone who is, accused of protecting the president, enabling the president, lying to Congress. Did you expect that coming in?
Well, in a way, I did expect it because I realized we live in a crazy, hyper-partisan period of time, and I knew that it would only be a matter of time if I was behaving responsibly and calling them as I see them, that I'd be attacked. Because nowadays people don't care about the merits or the substance; they only care about who it helps, who benefits, whether my side benefits or the other side benefits. Everything is gauged by politics, and as I say, that's antithetical to the way the department runs, and any attorney general in this period is going to end up losing a lot of political capital, and I realized that, and that's one of the reasons that I ultimately was persuaded that maybe I should take it on, because I think at my stage in life it really doesn't make any difference.
You're at the end of your career?
I'm at the end of my career. But
it's a reputation that you've worked your whole life on, though.
Yeah, but everyone dies, and I'm not, I don't believe in the Homeric idea that, immortality comes by, having odes sung about you over the centuries,
So you don't regret taking the job?
No.
That's interesting.
I love this guy.
Everybody dies. I just wanted to give you a rundown on our hero Mueller, just so people get put it into perspective. What he will take to the grave. He kept 4 innocent men in jail for years. One, in fact, for 35 years to protect Whitey Bulger. 4 years he kept them in jail. This was in Boston, I guess. 9/11 happened on his watch. He bungled the anthrax case. The guy who was blamed, one guy killed himself. And then we had Stephen Hatfill. He wound up suing the government, paid him millions in compensation. The Boston bombing, framing Ted Stevens. I mean, the Boston bombing, the Russians told us there's something going to happen. Nah. And this is when he was all FBI.
Yeah, Ted Stevens was framed.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
The senator from Alaska.
Totally.
And then killed.
Yeah, totally. So Mueller is a failure.
No.
Well.
Depends on your perspective.
This is a good point. He's either batting 1,000.
Batting 1,000, the way I see it.
I think you're right. I take that back. Wow, that guy's good.
Well, I'm talking about being a screw up. Let's listen to part 2 of this bar clip.
Jan, what did the Attorney General tell you about why he decided to summarize the special counsel's report rather than release it when he first received it?
Well, I mean, that was some news there. I was surprised by some things he talked about on that as well. I mean, that was not the plan. He had asked the special counsel's office over a period of weeks and was led to believe that the special counsel's office was working to identify that sensitive grand jury material that could not be released by law to the public or to Congress. So he expected the report, when he got it from the special counsel, to have that material identified so that he could quickly turn it around and release it pretty much in its entirety. When they got the report at the Department of Justice, none of that material was identified, to his surprise. But he said the public wouldn't wait weeks while they figured out what that was. He had to get something out quickly. People were, camping out at the Justice Department. The media, intelligence officials were wildly speculating, as he put. So he released that summary. He said it was never intended to go in the nooks and crannies of the report while they worked to identify that grand jury information. But that was not the plan. And if he'd gotten what he thought he was getting from the outset, that 4-page summary wouldn't have been necessary.
It's true.
That was interesting.
It's true.
Anyway, so he was like, there's another Mueller black mark. Or not.
Or not, yes.
Perspective.
The Bilderberg Conference should be wrapping up after a weekend of festivities at Montreux. Right on the lake there with the smoke on the water. And of course, we identified that Stacey Abrams is in attendance this year.
Yes,
and we discussed why. And although we perceive this to be generally a drinking club, I do want to remind us that in 1975 there was, of course, a Bilderberg meeting, and there was an unknown, pretty much unknown governor from Georgia who showed up, and the next year he became president, and that was Jimmy Carter. And he was, at the time, invited to the Bilderberg conference. So the parallels are interesting. To have Georgia, Bilderberg, election next year. Still think it's possible that some crazy way they're going to try and run Stacey Abrams. I know you don't buy it.
I'm not even close to buying it.
But how much worse could it be than Gillibrand? I mean, it's like...
Well, Gillibrand is a red herring along with the other single issue people. We could play. Yes. I mean, I think it's very much well explained here. I still have this clip. You can play it again. The Mark Shields clip where he explains just in great detail about Gillibrand. I mean, maybe you shouldn't.
No, I think
I'll
it's
get
clear.
Other good clips from him.
I like the whole single issue voter as a test. I think that makes sense. I do have a quick few.
I don't know that Abrams has any issues or even is being considered. I mean, it could be the 2020 thing. It's possible. She has to run against Gavin Newsom.
Listen, all I know is the former New York banker sat me down and made a big deal about her and how incredibly intellectual she is and intelligent, and that may be true. I read her stuff in Council on Foreign Relations magazine. I'm like, okay, a lot of pretty words there. What are you really saying? Please, I'd love to have her in the fray. Are you kidding? We do the show. This is great.
It would be, but it's not happening. Hillary.
A girl can hope. Little update on MH17. This was the plane flying from Schiphol in the Netherlands, shot down over Ukraine. Lot of fuzziness in the reporting. Of course, we've been following this for several years because I speak the language, and the Dutch have not really released a comprehensive report that anyone was happy with, that really pointed the finger at anybody other than the Russians. We have the open source reporting group Bellingcat, who would prove, it's the Russians, it's the Russians, it's the Russians. Now we have the Prime Minister of Malaysia giving his final word on what he feels about the affair.
Malaysia's Prime Minister has called into question the findings of the Dutch-led investigation into the downing of flight MH17 over Ukraine in 2014. Mahathir Mohamad says the international inquiry, which alleged that Russia was complicit in the atrocity, was politicized and has not found enough evidence to support its conclusions. He also claimed Malaysia has not been allowed to inspect the plane's black boxes.
They are accusing Russians of firing the missile. What? But what is the evidence? It could even be the Ukrainian government, because they too have the same missile.
5 years have passed, but it only seems like it happened yesterday. I was there, one of the first reporters on the scene. So we have the Malaysian Prime Minister who says Malaysia accepts the results of the investigation. However, they accept it to certain points. They accept that the plane was brought down by Russian missile, but as to who the assailant is, that has not been concluded, and this is what Malaysia has a problem with at the moment.
No, there you go. To reiterate,
I wonder if you even remember your original thesis on this, which I think was the most one of the most profound things ever discussed on the No Agenda show.
Yes, it was a mistake. Wasn't it a plane following another plane? They flipped off the radar. Please help me. Please help me. I need help because I can't even remember my own thesis.
You had noticed that a few weeks earlier there was a test.
The GPS got turned off.
A system-wide test of this turning off the GPS for no particular reason, but it was some sort of test. And then this event occurred some weeks later under similar circumstances. And the idea was to identify it looked like one plane, but there was a closely a Ukrainian jet.
Yes.
This is the theory.
Yeah.
It was closely following him, and then they shut down the air traffic control system long enough for him to shoot the plane and then jump off into some other area.
Yes.
If we could dig up the old show.
Yeah. I'm going to have to look that up again.
And I thought it was an incredibly creative explanation for what could have actually happened, because they have not proven anything, and this whole investigation is a scam, and they won't give the boxes over to the people who own the boxes. It's just ridiculous. Everything spells cover up.
And also the victims, the families, they have no closure, just no closure, because I'm pretty sure that it wasn't the Russians. Yeah, it was a Buk missile, but this could have been launched by multiple parties. If they really, really could have, I don't know. I will look that one up again. I do need to refresh my memory on that. But you're right. They had a test. It blipped everything, and then I think there was also, we looked at the flight ceiling, the operational ceiling of one of the Ukrainian fighter jets. Oh, man. You caught me off guard there. I'm going to have to work on that. I will bring that back.
Go back and find that episode. Yes. I think we can do that now because we have enough resources.
I'm sure we can.
To find things in these episodes.
Well, one more thing regarding Russia. This is also a Russia Today clip. The new Call of Duty game is on its way, apparently. I wouldn't know. I'm not a gamer, but here's what you can expect.
It's back in a big way. After years of fooling sales and irrelevance, Call of Duty is going back to its roots. It'll be more shocking, more morally ambiguous than ever before, with Russians so evil you wouldn't believe. Surprise! A Russian Su-25 jet, there it is, apparently bombing civilians. In the next scene, white helmets, the rescue wing of Syria's jihadist rebels are seen helping injured civilians out of rubble, just like in their real-life propaganda reels.
I guess they couldn't change the script anymore. It takes a lot of work to change a video game. Like, hey, we'll have the white helmets, they'll be the good guys. Unless maybe we get to play the game and then we learn that they actually aren't. Now, that would be cool.
Unlikely.
Yeah.
It's a good game. I have played it. Definitely.
Not the new one, though. Have you played the new one?
If you like shooting, it's fun. What?
You haven't played the new one, though. Is that out yet?
No, I haven't played the new one. I've played the old one.
Oh.
2 different versions of the old one.
Yeah.
But it's just fun. You get to shoot people all over the place. The Red Dead Redemption, whatever it is, 2, the one that's out now, is actually one of the best games I've seen.
I played that for 4 minutes. I'm like, okay.
You weren't shooting enough people.
If I want to have fun, I'll go out and I'll punch an old lady in the face in real life. You know, why do that in the video game?
In Austin, you won't get away with it. Well, I have one last clip we can play or not play. It's interesting, but it's also a message worth listening to for people that have bad habits. This guy is a kind of a science geek he calls himself Veritasium, and he does these science reports, and he decided to go find the most radioactive places in the world.
Oh, please tell me he went to Chernobyl.
Yeah, of course.
And to Fukushima.
Yeah, he went there too.
Let me guess. Wasn't all that bad?
It was bad and not bad here and there. He found the worst place was a basement in Russia where they were treating all the poor firemen who were demanded to go into the Chernobyl.
Oh, yeah.
Thing.
Yeah, it was not good.
But this is kind of interesting. Just kind of the wrap on how much radiation you can take it in a daily basis, and it's kind of interesting.
That basement was the most radioactive place I visited, and it's one of the most radioactive places on Earth. If I'd stayed down there for 1 hour, I would have received 2,000 microsieverts. That's a year's worth of natural background radiation. Every yellow pixel here represents a banana. Now that might seem like a lot, but consider that in a CT scan, the patient receives about 7,000 microsieverts. That's 3 years worth of natural background radiation. It's been estimated that the people living around Fukushima will receive an additional 10,000 microsieverts over their lifetime due to the nuclear power disaster. For comparison, U.S. radiation workers are limited to a maximum of 50,000 microsieverts per year. But that's less than another occupation, astronaut. An astronaut on the space station for 6 months will receive about 80,000 microsieverts worth of radiation. But not even they are exposed to the highest levels of ionizing radiation. So can you guess who is? The answer is a smoker's lungs. A smoker's lungs, on average, receive 160,000 microsieverts worth of radiation every year. That's due to the radioactive polonium and radioactive lead in the tobacco that they're smoking. So not only are they exposed to carcinogens and toxins, they also receive very high levels of radiation. So it's not the people of Fukushima or Chernobyl or radiation workers or even astronauts who receive the highest doses of ionizing radiation. That honor goes to your ordinary, average smoker.
Sucking in soot.
Adam. Oh, sorry about that. Well, thanks, John. I'm thoroughly depressed now.
I just thought it was a public service because we are now, at least I'm calling ourselves, the new public benefit podcast.
Oh, yes. It requires a vow of poverty, but man, do we do good for the public.
Yeah.
No, they need to update that with some vaping statistics. I'm sure the battery doesn't do much for your radiation either. But that will have to wait until Thursday's show. This is it for our deconstruction for today's No Agenda, the best podcast in the universe. We return on Thursday. You can support us, and we encourage you to do so we can return on Thursday at Dvorak.org/NA. Coming to you from the frontier of Austin, Texas, the capital of the Drone Star State, FEMA Region Number 6 on all governmental maps. In the morning, everybody, my name's Adam Curry.
And from Northern Silicon Valley, where I'm now practicing public benefit podcasting. I'm John C. Dvorak.
We return on Thursday right here on No Agenda. Stay tuned on the No Agenda stream for Grumpy Old Ben's episode number 10. Thanks to Jesse Coy Nelson and Tom Starkweather for our end of show mixes. Until Thursday, adios, mofos, and such.
Donate to a No Agenda. They give us shows week after week. Donate to a No Agenda. It's a show that's really unique. Donate to a No Agenda. Listen to John and Adam speak. Donate to a No Agenda. Science is turning into a clique.
You might die sucking in soot. You might die sucking in soot.
It's very important that if people who are healthy and can get vaccinated, they should get vaccinated to protect the people who cannot be vaccinated.
Measles. Measles.
Vaccinate. Ain't it great? You really shouldn't hesitate. You did it once, then do it twice. A second time is just as nice. Look out. Here comes the needle man. Is it safe? Listen, dude. Don't ask questions or you're a kook. And I sue if I'm hurt. Not according to the Supreme Court. Look out. Here comes the needle man.
Dr. Sheree Morris strongly encourages expecting mothers to get the flu vaccine. The ongoing measles outbreak spread a concern from coast to coast.
Vaccinate, it's really great. Are you currently up to date? Better check on the spot or you'll get fined quite a lot. Don't worry, we're making lots of money. Even if something's a bit funny, you'll need to vaccinate.
If you have to get sick, sure can't beat the measles.
Now it's Mueller time.
9 minutes of Mueller.
Thank you for
Mueller
being here. No one has told me whether I can or should testify or speak further about this matter.
The whole thing is a scam.
There were multiple systematic efforts to interfere in our election.
He wasn't happy with what I did, and I don't blame him, but I had to do it because that was the right thing to do.
Every defendant is presumed innocent unless alleged to be involved in some type of criminal activity. And from them we concluded that we would not reach a determination one way or the other about whether the president committed a crime.
Using that word, to me it's a dirty word, the word impeach. It's a dirty, filthy, disgusting word, and it had nothing to do with me.
I do not believe it is appropriate for me to speak further about the investigation or to comment on the actions of the Justice Department or Congress.
You know who got me elected? You know who got me elected? I got me elected.
Everybody's talking about the sweaty pale monkey swinging from a tree and he's moving like a donkey. Places to go, got people to see, got deals to hustle, get the dough me. I ain't ever seen nothing like it done before. He's a moving violation, breaking in your back door. What you don't know, what you don't say, he got mouths to feed, he got bills to pay. Looking real hot and he's trying to settle the product. Face bags up a bird, kinda like a robot. Face bag! He knows where you're going and he knows where you've been. Tracking how you got fat, how you got thin. Never too close, never too far to open up your webcam. There you are, knowing how you vote, watching every kiss, saying happy birthday that he'll never miss. He'll never miss. He's a Zuckerberg.
I started Facebook, I run it, and I'm responsible for what happens here. It's not enough to just connect people. We have to make sure that those connections are positive. It's not enough to just give people a voice. We need to make sure that people aren't using it to harm other people or to spread misinformation. And it's not enough to just give people control over their information. We need to make sure that the developers they share it with protect their information too. It will take some time to work through all the changes we need to make across the company, but I'm committed to getting this right.
The best podcast in the universe. Dvorak.org/NA.
We believe in science.